And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the Korean StarCraft League, the KSL week number 53. I'm, of course, your Light VIP, and with me, I'm joined by these amazing players, the people in the chat, and the plushies as well. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another week of the KSL. This is, once again, a little bit different. We're going to be entering a replay cast here as this event occurred over the weekend. Of course, if you were here over the weekend, you'd be aware that we had Home Story Cup. Home Story Cup was over Saturday and Sunday. It was a 3-day event, I guess Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we were otherwise busy and preoccupied covering it. We were the B stream, and it was a pretty long cast. It was that's a bit of an understatement. Day 1 was 11 hours. Day 2 was 10 hours. So we were quite busy with the Home Story Cup over the weekend. And because of that, I wasn't able to cover the KSL live. They didn't clash necessarily, but basically, if I wanted to cover KSL, I would not be able to sleep. And sleeping is nice. At some point, sleep is nice. So I wasn't able to cast it live, but that is why we are here to go over the replays. Of what did occur over the weekend. There is, of course, the bracket link in the chat. Be wary of the bracket link, as there are spoilers there. Likewise, if you happen to watch it live, I believe it was casted by Chickenman and Dave Testa. But Chickenman and Dave Testa, they host the event, they run the event, and they covered it themselves. If you happen to have tuned in, then no spoilers in the chat, as we will be vigilant. We're making sure that we don't spoil each other. Again, I have avoided like the Wikipedia page and all that good stuff. I'm just jumping in blind, as we always do, to embrace all this amazing and beautiful StarCraft. Also, before we dive into things, if you want to help support this tournament series, !KSL in the chat, there is a Patreon. There is a Patreon to this event. There's a Patreon to the KSL. This event is funded and supported by the community for the community. So if you want to help boost this event, you can do so via Patreon. You can gain some benefits. You know, there's some roles on Patreon. There's replay packs as well if you want some of these replays yourself to learn, or even cast yourself, or do with what you so want or so choose. They got you covered. They got you covered with the Patreon. Check it out. Check it out. Support it if you wish. Otherwise, we're jumping in. We are jumping into our first series of the night. You can see here before you, it's been a while. It's been a while since we've casted Miyamaika. Like, every now and then we cast Miyamaika in OSC King the Hill, but alas, he's not as active as he once was. I would love to embrace some more Miyamaika. So up first, we have Miyamaika versus Nightmare. Let's go. For those who are unaware, Miyamaika is the King of the Sea, and for a time, he was a beast, he was a titan. He would threaten other top tier players like Maru, players like Spirit, players like Showtime, players like Hearthstone. They would fall prey to Miyamaika. It's been a while though, and again, Miyamaika nowadays, I believe he's not full-time like he once was a couple of years ago. Regardless, that's why I'm happy to see him in this bracket, happy to embrace Miyamaika whenever we can, and we're jumping to game 1 on Alkyone. Let us go. Likewise, Nightmare has also been on the rise as of late. Ever since joining Bleed Esports, Nightmare has been getting a lot of support. Nightmare has been improving quite a lot. I would say that Nightmare currently, his worst matchup is still PvZ, but I mean, his PvT is world class, so is his PvP. Like, Nightmare has become very much so a player of his own. He's still a little bit in the shadow of someone like Hero, for example, but Hero is literally the best Protoss in all of South Korea. Nightmare is not too far behind him. As spawning in the top right hand corner of Alkyone, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing Bleed Esports. It is Nightmare. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Zerg player representing Team Gosu. It is Miyamaika. From land of Vietnam, let's go. Again, the last King of the Sea. You do love to see it. Ah, the crown. He's beautiful. You do love to see it here, and we're going for a pool first. Now, if you're familiar with Miyamaika's play style, it's been a while, but he does often go pool first in every single matchup, except for ZVZ. ZVZ does go for more standard builds, openers at times. But the pool first is just a safety pool first. Don't read too much into it. Miyamaika can be fluid with this and can use this to go into a faster Roach Warren. But for the most part, it is just a safety feature here for Miyamaika. Will delay his economy as a result of this, will delay his gases, but Miyamaika is more than happy to cut corners, or more than happy to put behind his economy in favor of just a safer start. Make sure that he doesn't get cheese, make sure he doesn't get cannon rushed, make sure the Protoss doesn't get anything crazy going on. As spawning pool is done, you can see that a queen is on the way. We make a pair of lings, but even with the pool first, we're only making 2 lings. We have the option, if you go pool first, to make a pair of 2, 4, or 6 lings. You can move out with 6 lings, but as we can see here, it's just going to be a light commitment to ling aggression. Mainly going to be droning, mainly going to be macroing from here. As I mentioned before, whenever we see me and Micah go pool first, it's just a safety thing. Oh my god. The probe somehow stays hidden. That should not have happened, but Nightmare, he is somehow able to keep the probe hidden here from me and Micah. Lings are moving out. The probe can go back in for a secondary scout. Very important here that we confirm whether or not we have a roach warren or a baleen nest on the way, just because of the earlier commitment here from me and Micah. Regardless, back at home, just going to be a gate expand into Cybercore. Nothing too crazy here from Nightmare. Soon going for his tech in the main base. We have the pylon and we have the Stargate. Going to be a Stargate opener. Lings don't quite get across the map as we do stay back at home. The probe does confirm saturation at the natural, and we do get behind the mineral line. So a nice follow-up scout here out of Nightmare. Does confirm no hidden tech. No baleen nest, no roach warren, no nothing. No lair either. So a nice follow-up scout there out of Nightmare is going to be shut down. Now, when I say no lair, I believe we have not pulled out of gas for one reason, and one reason only. We should be rushing towards a lair here if this is the Miyamika that we know and love. The reason why we would rush into a lair is to take additional gases and go into an insanely fast Hydra Den. That is the typical go-to build of Miyamika in ZVP, is essentially 2-base Hydra. There it is! Ah, beautiful. Fast lair here from me and Micah in the main base. We should be taking a second and a third gas. There we go. Second gas already being taken here at the natural base. And we should be working towards Hydra production. Meanwhile, Nightmare following this up with a Void Ray. Interesting. So it's going to be a Void Ray opener out of Nightmare, not an Oracle. The Void Ray is going to be hunting down this Overlord. And Nightmare is even aware of its location. I believe the rally was set towards the back of the main. We'll double check that. Regardless, Nightmare, he's more focusing and fixated on denying vision, denying scouting. Meanwhile, show us our tech. We're getting there. We're fully saturating on 2 gases for the time being. We should be seeing a third gas momentarily. We'll see what me and Micah does embrace with his lair. And there it is. The Void Ray will hunt down the first Overlord. Keep me and Micah in the dark. There it is. There's the third gas that we did speak about. We have our gas set up for that build. Meanwhile, Oracle's on the way. A first Adept shading across the map. Nice scout here from Nightmare, or attempted scout, is going to be moving out with the Adept, with the Oracles. We'll see what Nightmare can get his eyes on. Oh, as he's playing this out very safe, that is a shield battery and a second pylon. My apologies, I did miss this. But Nightmare overreacting a little bit here to the aggression of Miyamika. There's that Hydra that we spoke about. Again, Ling Hydra is Miyamika's go-to in this matchup. He does hit a very, very scary and very powerful Hydra timing, typically. We'll see if we can get there. We have Oracle towards the left and Void Ray towards the right. We're going for the mineral lines. We're going for the economy. Gases have been spotted. Gases have been confirmed. We haven't seen any tech yet. We're rushing into a fleet. Oh my god. Oh my god. Nightmare, calm down. We confirm lack of saturation. That's a big tell here. No saturation at the third base. The base itself is under fire. We have a Forge, second Stargate, and Fleet Beacon on the way. Nightmare, he's looking to rush into Tempest. I'm assuming it's Tempest. Carriers are also viable, but Tempest is seen more often than not. Ooh, as the Oracle will barely escape. Barely does get away. And what's it going to be? Fleet Beacon is done. A Stargate is done as well. Or about to finish up the second Stargate at least. My god. That's a lot of static defense, papi. We got a wall of cannons. We got some shield batteries on the way. Stargates are finishing up and can show us the Tempest. Tempest production here out of Nightmare, already on the horizon. And Miyamika, I'm not actually... I think I actually like his position here. I mean, it's hard to say where we attack. Right, we're building up Ling Hydra, we're working up towards our push. Miyamika, his saturation is quite delayed because he's been hyper-fixated on Lings and Hydra production. So we're pretty all in. This is sub 3-base saturation and Miyamika is moving out. Now, on the one hand, it's going to be difficult to break the third. With cannons, shield batteries, with an overcharge, with force fields, this third base looking quite secure. The natural less so. If we did move out towards the natural base, I do think there's potential with this army, but trying to break the third is going to be very difficult, and we'll see how we go. Drones are going to be going down. Oh, Miyamika forced back home. I guess forced back from home, but no, he does turn back around. He's going to be committing. He will commit. Bailey Nest is done. Bailings will be ideal against this if we did want to break the third base. Bailings, they can just shut down the cannons and shield batteries. Force field's going to be so important here for Nightmare. He sees the Bailings. He's aware. He's aware of what's going on. Tempests are revealed. Up until now, me and Micah wasn't fully aware of what was going on. And the Bailings, they have morphed in. And what do we go for? Again, the natural or the third? We're going for the natural. Up, up. Oh my god. We're trying to pick and choose, and we do force out those. We do at least force out the force fields. Force fields are thrown down. Likewise, force field with the natural as well. So far, this is doing nothing. Oh my, the force fields. They are running out. And the Baileys, they will crash into the cannons. Cannons go down. Shield batteries as well. There's still one shield battery in the back line. It gets depowered. But where are the Hydras? The Hydras, they are gone. They got focused down by the Tempest. GG gets called. And Nightmare holds. Nightmare takes game number 1. Whew. GG. A very impressive defense there by Nightmare. Very impressive force fields to be able to slow down the army, and he was able to focus on every single Hydra. It meant that even though the Link Bane did clean up and shut down all the static defense, it did not matter because nothing else showed up. We were completely all in. We spoke about how little saturation there was at the third. It was, what, 50 workers? It was around 50 or so drones. Just a very low economy there for me and Micah. Very committed, and alas, did not break through. GG. GG, well played. Whew. And I wonder, what's our plan here in our next game? Where we headed? Where we dropping? Game 2, going to be loading into Oceanborn. And me and Mikey, he's very fond of this build, of the Ling Hydra all-in. Is quite fond of it, but I'm curious how we adapt and what we embrace coming into game number 2. We'll see. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Bleed Esports, leading the series 1-0. It is Nightmare. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have okay. For a moment I thought we were going gas first. You got me excited, Papi. We have the Vietnamese Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Team Gosu. It is the last king of the sea, Mio Micah. Here we go. That engagement what by Nightmare was discussing. I mean, that's the power of, or that's the downside of going Ling Hydra. Is if you're going for a Ling Bane Hydra based composition in this matchup, as you saw, force fields are king. Like, force fields are so brutal. You lack Ravagers, right? Without, I mean, typically Roach Ravager is your go-to composition in this matchup for good reason. Without any Ravagers to pile down those walls, I mean, force fields are ideal, and we saw just how insane the initial defense was from Nightmare. And again, it was one of those things where, I mean, sure, eventually the force fields went down, eventually they ran out, but by then, like, the damage was done. By then, like, Nightmare had just picked me and Micah apart. It was impressive. Impressive stuff there at Nightmare. But now we're settling in. Now we're going to be calming things down, and this time, Mio going for 15-15. Okay, interesting here. So this time Miyamaki goes for a later spawning pool. Spawning pool is later than that of game 1. So this is not your typical Miyamaki opener. I'm curious how this all plays out. I'm curious what this all leads into. We'll see if we invest into link speed. We'll see where we go from here. I would not be opposed to roaches even. I mean, hey, we're on Oceanborn. 3 base all-ins. They're ideal on Oceanborn. We see them quite often indeed. I wouldn't be surprised if me and Micah did embrace that. We'll keep an eye on him. We will keep an eye on him. Meanwhile, across the map, we're throwing down our tech of choice. Pylon is about to finish up. We are poised for another Stargate opener. I'm not so certain if Nightmare is going to be embracing another Tempest Rush again, but should be at least, yeah, the Stargate for the Oracle to get across the map. So far everything looking normal, looking standard from Nightmare, but after what we saw in the last game, clearly he's willing to spice things up. Like, clearly, Nightmare willing to have some fun here. Rushing into Tempest. So we'll see what he does in game 2. But now, third base soon to be taken. Nightmare is in position to delay that third, could even pylon block as well. Oh, thankfully the Queen is in position. There's that pylon has been thrown down. Now, ideally, this pylon stands the test of time. We're able to buy time for the Adept to get across the map. Meanwhile, Adept is in position at the right-hand side. We do delay the third. Oh my god, the drone does go down. Brutal position here for me and Micah. He is stuck on 2 bases. The pylon is cancelled. The Adept is in position, ready to deny the drone once again. So a brutal position here. Meanwhile, it's going to be a Void Ray open out. Nightmare once again going for the Void Ray. And we do not pull out of gas. We're rushing to a very fast lair. I'll say 3:15-ish lair timing. Adepts, they do commit to the shade. Ooh, two Adepts behind the mineral line, and they're getting damage done. Yeah, links are going down. Drones are being... No, not like this. Drones are going down as well. A brutal position here. Nothing going right for Miyamika, and Nightmare will take the series 2-0. GG. Oh, brutal. Brutal series. I mean, game 1 was more back and forth. Game 2 was more brutal. It wasn't just the fact that those Adepts were getting drone kills. Remember, the Adepts also delayed and denied the third base. Miyamika, he was stuck on 2 bases. He was losing drones, bleeding out links. That was a disastrous start. Even if it wasn't for the drone kills, like, delaying the third base for that long was insane. To get 2 drone kills, to quite 2 drone kills, but to get a drone kill and to, again, delay that expansion, contain on 2 bases. I feel for Miyamika, Papi. I feel for him. We've all been there. We've all been there. If the early game doesn't go your way, things can very quickly escalate out of control. And with that, we do have Nightmare advancing on. Nightmare does advance on into, I believe, the semifinals, and we won't be following Nightmare yet. I should have gone over this at the start of the broadcast, but we're going to be going over the initial round of 16 and the quarterfinals matches first, followed by a break, followed by the semifinals, and then the finals. Then the finals thereafter. So we are going to be cutting the broadcast in half. First the earlier rounds, then the semis and the finals. That is the plan. That is the plan. And up next, we're going to be featuring another player from our region. It's going to be Trap versus Hon Mono himself in a PvT. I'm ready. I'm excited. And I think Hon Mono is a really good comparison to Miyamika. Like, Miyamika, he's the last king of the sea, is a very chaotic Zerg player, of course, here in Southeast Asia. Hon Mono is a Korean Terran living in the land of Japan. A man known by many names. By many names, and he's also hyper aggressive. He's a very aggressive player, especially in this matchup in TVP. I'm ready. I'm excited. Show us what you got. Again, we've casted Hon Mono many times over the years. He's been featured quite a lot on the channel, and one of the big things about Hon Mono is in the TVP matchup, he never macros. We never see Hon macro against Protoss. We see Hon Mono against Protoss instead. He's an animal. He's an animal, Papi. Let's go. Speaking of, here we go. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of side Delta, we have our South Korean Terran player. The Blue Terran representing Team Hyper 1, living in the land of Japan. It is Hon Mono. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Gen G Esports. It is Trap. Oh, I see Dash in the chat. Gah, papi, gah. Este Dash. Good to see you, papi. Good to see you. It's great to see that you've been a little more active as of late. You've been competing more. You recently joined Blacklist International. Congrats, Dash. Do appreciate it. I'm sure Dash is also quite familiar with Hon Mono as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they faced off on the ladder in the past. But yeah, Hon Mono, he has a very unique, I say unique, he has a very aggressive approach here to TVP. We see Hon Mono more often than not go for 1 base all-ins, proxies, 2 base all-ins, pull the boys, papi. He's just hyper aggressive here against the Protoss. In this TVP matchup against Protoss players. We do see a little more macro out of Hon Mono in TVT. He's a little more standard in the TVT matchup, and against Zerg players, Hon Mono does embrace mech from time to time. He also does enjoy bio play, kind of like 8-raxing, basically 8-raxing, 3-base saturation, heavy bio aggression into longer macro play. But for now, we're focusing on the TVP. No cap. Aye. As we are going to be stepping forward, focusing down the probe, we do fully wall off and hide our initial build. It is going to be a standard economic opener, a Rax expand out of Hon Mono, as we've only taken one gas geyser, so we have the CC on the high ground, but it's thrown down further back, and we did even throw down the cheese spray, so Hon Mono really wants to sell the story that he is going for something more aggressive. Trap, looking at his vision, is in the dark, has no idea what's coming up next. I mean, saw the spray, didn't see anything in the main, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's thinking more along lines of a factory-based follow-up and double gas. We can see it's going to be a Rax expand into, interesting, a 2-1-1 variation here. We have the second Rax, we have the factory on the way. Now, I would not be surprised if we throw down a third Rax from here and we delay the starport. If not even just skip the starport entirely. Again, it's very common here for Hon Mono to turn this into a 2-base all-in, which is a hyperfixation on stim, on our initial upgrades, building up our bio army, maybe even going for earlier tank production, as Zealot has arrived, and we do find a way in. Ooh, the wall is not a wall. The Adept does bust into the main. We get one Marine so far. We're going to get a second Marine as well, and even the third. Additional Marines have arrived. The Adept is able to get a full scout. We have confirmation of the natural base, as well as the production setup. Ooh, starport is... It is a 2-1-1. Let's go. I was not quite convinced, but never mind. 2-1-1, show us the stim, papi. Reactors on the way, I imagine, for a bit of an add-on swap for medevac production. It's all coming together almost like a TVZ. But of course, Trap has seen most... No, he gets in! Oh my god, Trap. Trap, he gets in once again, just confirming the setup, confirming the add-on. I believe we haven't quite seen the starport as of yet, but once again, the depot wall is not raised. Expansion is going to be delayed. Back at home, it is going to be a Twilight Council opener into Blink. How many gateways? 3 gates. It's going to be 3-gate Blink. Very safe opener out of Trap. He already had a shield battery set up just in case. Again, it goes to show Trap is fully aware of the kind of player that Hon Mono is, playing this out very safely, and is prepared. And did I say 3-gate Blink? It's going to be 4-gate Blink. There's 3 gates on the way, 1 gateway already done. 4-gate Blink here out of Trap. Hyper aggression. I do like this considering the build of choice of Hon Mono. Basically, because we fixated and prioritized stim, because we prioritized bio production, tanks are delayed. Tank production is delayed here for Hon Mono. And without a solid tank count, without scouting information, bearing in mind, Hon Mono has seen nothing. He's seen nothing across the map. He has no idea how defensive or aggressive Trap is being. And going for 4-gate Blink is a good way to take advantage of that and to abuse that. Third base is on the way. Stalkers are moving out, applying pressure, picking up Marines. Additional Stalkers on the way. And Hon Mono, he is going to have a bit of a harder time defending against this. Now, thankfully, there's no robo. No, there is. Never mind. I was like, where's the prism? There is no prism, so there's no way to reinforce across the map, but Stalkers are in position. Meanwhile, at the same time, Hon Mono going for a double job just outside, trying to catch out the Stalkers. We'll see if he can. Meanwhile, we go from Blink straight into Charge. Interesting, so even though it was 4-gate Blink, it looks like defensive 4-gate Blink, as we never made the Warp Prism, we never committed across the map. We have definitely a marauding force out on the map to gain map control, map vision, but that's really all we've gotten, as Trap is taking a much more safe and defensive approach. He's taking his third, getting it up and running, teching up, skipping warp-ins. I say that, I mean, we do have 4 Stalkers at least in the main. And Trap is going to be able to hold on. Meanwhile, winding things back, Observer gets sniped, and we are expanding. Hon Mono, is that you? I wasn't expecting to see Hon Macro tonight, papi. Oh my god. Okay, we are expanding. We are taking a third. Hon Mono is not going for an all-in, but oh my god, once again, the wall is not a wall. We get into the main, and Trap sees the third. He's aware. He's aware of the macro that's coming out from Hon Mono, the tank count as well. So Trap back at home is going to be able to cut some corners, be a little bit greedier here, focus on saturating his base, fixated on his tech. Scan does reveal the third. And behind this, we have yet to really invest too hard into any further tech. We are on 4 gases, but we're working towards gateways and charge lots. Charge lots, something Stalkers. We're not going for any Colossus or any additional Immortal production. Not for the time being. There we go, Forge is on the way. Scan does confirm the lack of tech in the main. Trap is getting in position to knock down anything that comes out. Mono going for a second factory, looking to expand and take the third base. I appreciate this. I appreciate that we see a side of Homeowner that we rarely get to see. Showing that he's willing to work on some other aspects of his play. Stalkers, they do manage to pick off a couple of Marines. Marines are going down. The Observer, oh my god. The Observer does slip away. Barely. Stalkers rotate around, they hit the third, forcing out a stim. The other thing I should have pointed out as well is that even though it was a 2-on-1 opener, even though we had a stim timing and a double drop, Homeowner never pushed out with it. He set up outside his natural, yes, but he never quite went across the map. He was never able to really accomplish much with his initial timing. He was focusing on just building up back at home instead. So yeah, just a really interesting approach here from Honmono to avoid the aggression and to, yeah, just calm things down a little bit here. Yo, reformed? Like, is this a new side of Honmono? Maybe. We'll see. Prism towards the main. Likewise, across the map, Storm is more than halfway done. So it's going to be a gateway-based army with Storm to support. Storm is on the way. The tank count is getting quite hefty here for Honmono. We're getting up to 6 tanks already. That's a lot of tanks. There's going to be a lot of tanks here. We've got turrets, sensor towers. Trap is moving out and is going to be hitting with Storm. We'll have 4 High Templar, each with 1 Storm. 4th base on the way behind this. And of course, +1. Building up. And we're heading out towards that 3rd. And towards the main. Do we have much in the main base? We have turrets, that is true, but very few units or no units at all. Trap coming in from a different angle, heading from the south. Does hit the mineral line. The tank's out of range. Uh-oh. I mean, that's a high tank count, but they do nothing here. Storm in the mineral line. Storm of the Bio Army. Oh my god, another Storm as well. And the tanks, again, they do nothing. Prism not quite diving into the main yet. Homeowner repositioning. Did bleed out 8 SCVs. And as Homeowner repositions, he's spreading himself thin. 4th CC. 4th CC? Homeowner. We've seen Homeowner take a 3rd in TVP before, but a 4th? Double scanning. Does get eyes on the 4th base of Trap. Prism still not pulling the trigger here. Not quite committing. Homeowner does pull back. Ooh, bleeds out a medevac. Trap does shut it down. Unironically, is this the first time we've seen Homeowner make a 4th CC in like all 4 years of casting Homeowner? Is this the first time we've seen him make a 4th CC against Protoss? Specifically against Protoss. Like, we've seen Homeowner get up to 8 bases against Zerg. Like, that's happened, but against Protoss, man, he's crazy. It's when you find out this is Percival playing on the account instead or something. It's like, it's Genio confirmed. Do you see Trap rotating around? Prism now headed towards the main. Meanwhile, Homeowner is still hyperfixated on purely bio tank. There's no additional Viking production, not yet at least. No Ghosts, no Marauders, just pure bio tank or Marine tank. The reason why I bring up Vikings is because now we're incorporating a little bit more complexity to the army of Trap. We have 2, soon to be 3 Colossus. Immortals as well. Homeowner taking a 4th. And the 4th is spotted by Trap. He is aware. We can see him marauding around towards the right-hand side. Has to be careful about the siege line. Yeah, big tank volleys going off. And there's no pushing in, not from this angle. And here we go. We go for the unsiege. Homeowner is maxed out purely with Marines and tanks. That's a medevacs. True. Couple of medevacs. Getting in position. Does siege up. Zoning back the army. We do leapfrog forward. At the same time, Zealot counterattack here towards the south. Trap in an awkward position. Has to knock down the rocks. The rocks are being knocked down, and Homono, he's gonna beat him across the map. Yeah, trap out of position. But here come the storms. Ooh, oh my god, massive storms. Oh my god. Massive storms on the army. The bio army melts. Ay, ay, ay. The tanks have siege, but they're on their own. That was how many? 58 Marines. Oh my god, 58 Marines go down in the blink of an eye. We barely have any bio left. We do have a lot of tanks, but they're on their own. The tanks, they have no support. We catch reinforcements. Meanwhile, the bio army pushing in towards the natural. Zealots are amassing. If you're a Terran player, look away, Papi, look away. It's it's not safe for Terran. Trap coming in with the drum. Yeah, forcing friendly fire. 2 tanks go down. The prism falls. Storm on the tanks. It's not going to be pretty here pushing into this tank line, but we do clean this up. Again, nobody to support. So the tanks go down. And Homeowner, his army, it just plummets. There's nothing left. There's 2 Marines. There's 2 Marines. Medevacs were boosting away. At the same time, the 3rd base was shut down by the Zealot counterattack. And we're even hunting down Medevacs. Again, it's one of those moments where the soup did lie. Even though the supply was, I mean, even though Homeowner was maxed out, it was such a fragile army. Oh, the storms once again. And with that, a trap is going to clean up what little is left of Honmono. The tanks and the bio making 13 Marines at a time. I mean, we're out of storms, but we still have Colossus. We still have the Colossus just raining down here at the 3rd. 12 SCVs going down. GG gets called, and Trap will take game number 1. Whew. GG. The weather report, nothing but storm, Papi. Nothing but storm. Ay, ay, ay. GG, well played. Trap handling himself quite nicely there. I mean, again, Trap, he recognized that, of course, his opponent, I say recognize. If you remember, Trap, he was able to scout the 3rd CC as it was being built. He also scouted the 4th CC as it was being built as well. So Trap, recognizing that Homeowner was taking a more macro approach, was able to likewise settle on back, get his 4th, get his 5th base, tech up, work towards Storm, work towards Colossus. Didn't really overextend either. What I appreciate is that because Homeowner was just macroing back at home, even though we had the potential to even harass the main with the Warp Prism or be active with the main army, we never really did overextend. Like, we held back with the Warp Prism and the Zealot drop until the army moved out. Likewise, we did see Trap rotate and harass the 3rd base for a moment, and he got 8 SCVs. That's all he got. That's the moment where he backed off and he saw the 4th. So again, just really patient play out of Trap, and even when Homeowner maxed out and moved out, even then Trap, he was, you know, cool, calm, collected, knocking down the rocks, racing back over. He had High Templar ready back at home. Yeah, really, really nice play there out of Trap. As we are going to be settling into game number 2. Let's go. Game number 2 going to be taking place on Golden Aura. Honmaru, no? Oh, Honmaru, Papi. True, true. Let's go. As we are settling in and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Team Hyper 1, living in the land of Japan. It is Honmono. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Gen G Esports. It is Trap. Here we go. Now, as much as I love that we saw a very different kind of Honmono in the previous game, you know, a much more macro, I say macro, like he just maxed out on Bio Tank, on Marine Tank, and sent it across the map, Papi, but a little bit more passive, a little bit more defensive. I imagine we're going to ape it up here in game 2. I think it's one of those things where Honmono, he tried something a little bit different. Yeah, let's go. He tried something a little bit different in game 1. He's like, you know what? What does it feel like to, like, you know, make more than 45 SCVs in the TVP? Oh my god. Let's go. This is the Honmono we know and love. You know, last game was unnatural, Bob. You know, he was doing whatever he could to just work against his instincts, and now the instincts, they take over. The ape is here. It's coming. Let's go. So it's going to be a 1-base all-in. I wouldn't be surprised if we throw down the 4th Rax. Yep, it's going to be a 1-base 4 Rax all-in. We should be massing up Marines, and we should be pulling the boys. We're going to be pulling the boys with this. It's all or nothing here for Honmono. This is what we know him for. This is what we love him for. You know, Papi, don't try to, like, you know, be someone that you're not. You know, who are you trying to throwing down a 3rd CC, a 4th CC? No. Ape it up. That's what we're here for. Let's go. Now, across the map, Trap is in the dark. What I do appreciate out of what Honmono is doing here is that it looks just like Game 1. Remember, Game 1, Honmono went for a Rax Expand. He went for a CC hidden in the main. So I like that the build looks the same so far. It does look very similar to what we just saw. Probe is being hunted down. Marines do fan out. We're massing up more Marines in the main. And we will soon pull the trigger. Meanwhile, ooh, very safe play here at a Trap. Does already throw down a safety shield battery at the natural. Again, Honmono has a reputation. The Koreans, they are fully aware of who Honmono is and the kind of player he is as well. So Trap, he's playing this out very safely. And here we go, Honmono. Let's go, is pulling the boys. Honmono and pull the boys. I mean, name a better duo here. Here we go. The boys are being pulled. Marines are being sent across the map. It's all or nothing here for Honmono. One way or another, the game is about to end. Now, what do we have to defend? We have 1 Adept, 1 Stalker, and an Overcharge. That's what's important here. We have an Overcharge available for Trap. So far, Trap has not spotted the all-in. We're going to be late to pull the boys. Trap, this is not going to be an easy hold for him. But the Marines, they do push on forward. We're going for the Shield Battery. Marines are being targeted down. Shield Battery does fall, but very nice target firing at a Trap. Does focus down how many? 3 Marines already. The main army is being zoned away. Now we're going straight for the kill, straight for the main. There is a Stalker backup Shield Battery on the way. Can we buy some time? Boys are being pulled. Good kiting here out of Honmono, but he's running out of Marines. He's running out of DPS. Ooh, as we bleed off a lot of Marines here. Meanwhile, across the map, we got a surround on the Stalker, a surround on the Adept. We need those SCVs. We need a buffer. We need them, Papi. The boys have arrived. Now we're up to 2 Stalkers. Immortals on the way. Shield Battery is going to finish. Yeah, the Shield Battery does complete. Honmono, have we taken too much time? Have we taken too long here? We get into the mineral line. Boys are being pulled. Overcharge is activated. Now we're up to 3 Stalkers and an Immortal as well. I keep calling it a Marauder. And an Immortal. Shields are triggered. Marines are being targeted down once again. And we get within range of the Shield Battery. Oh my god. GG gets called. The Immortal survives. It is Immortal. And Trap will shut down the 1-base all-in. GG. GG, well played. Trap will take the series 2-0, but I appreciate that Honmono did mix it up. I appreciate that it wasn't just purely all-ins out of Honmono. I mean, we saw the all-in at the end in game number 2, which I did appreciate. But hey, in game 1, we saw a very different side of Honmono in TVP, going up to 4 bases, maxing out on Bio Tank. It ended in a bloodbath. It was not pretty to look at, but it was also beautiful in another way. It was... We got to see the power of Storm, Papi. You got to see the power of Storm. And congratulations to Trap. He does advance on into the next round. My condolences to Honmono. And Trap advances on into the next round to face off against another opponent, another Protoss, a Korean Protoss in Classic. Catching up in the chat. I go to bed, stream running. I wake up, stream still running. Oh, hello, EFG. Hello. Yes. This morning, we were casting ESL Open Cup Americas. And now we're back a couple of hours later with the KSL. I did nap, fun fact. I did have like I think it was like a 2 hour, maybe like a 2.5 hour nap. I was able to get a little bit of sleep in between the casts, but we're back. We're good to go. We are good to go. Talking about a 180, Papi. Not safe for Terran. Just catching up. Did Honmono need Vikings? No. I mean, that you're referring to game 1 with that one. No, that was... Yes, yeah, we don't have to talk about game 1. It's okay. we needed a lot in game 1. If Trap didn't have a shield battery in his main base, it was going to be so hard. Yeah, that's what I mean. Where it took us a little bit too long to really get our SCVs into the main. If you remember, the SCVs, sure, they shut down a Stalker and an Adept, but it also meant that there was no buffer for the Marines. It took them that much longer to bust into the main, and with that added time, that added value there, it allowed the shield battery to finish, and did allow for a very different game. A solid hold there. Defense from Trap. And yeah, with that, we're getting into our next series. Now, this is going to be a rematch. If you were here yesterday, or yeah, yesterday, the days they're all blending together. They're all blending together. If you were here yesterday, then you would have been here for Classic versus Trap. They faced off in ESL Asia, and it was a very dynamic PvP. Something that we took note of is that Classic was hyper aggressive. Classic, he was hyper aggressive against Trap, and Trap was able to keep up and knock down the aggressive nature of Classic, at least last night. I'm curious if it's going to be a similar trend here, in the sense that Classic is going for these like one base all-ins and this hyper aggressive style, and if Trap is a defender instead. We're going to find out. Let's go. Let us go. We are jumping into our next series. I believe this is a quarterfinals match. This will be our last series before the semis. And here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Amphion, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Gen G Esports. It is Trap. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the other South Korean Protoss, the Red Protoss, representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. The Duckling is excited. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So we are going to be settling in. And because we're loading into Amphion, the gate expands. Okay, we have gate expand set up. If I recall correctly here, we saw a similar setup last night on Site Delta, where we had Phoenix Wars and Trap was able to win the Phoenix War against Classic. We could see another Phoenix War again here. Now, quickly going over the features of this map and the opener that's taking place, we should be seeing gate expands. Okay. Double gas here by Trap. This does lead into a faster Stargate before Nexus. Classic is staying on one gas. He has pulled out, so Classic looks to go for a faster expansion instead. So a faster Nexus here out of Classic, but is now taking a second gas, as we do have our probes blocking the expansions. Now, the reason why both players are going for gate expand setups, or gate cyber into tech into expansion, is because of the ramp. It is the law, it is the rule here in PvP. If you load into a map like Amphion, Site Delta, and Post Youth, all those maps have something in common. That is a ramp leading into the natural. Because of this ramp, it does give you the defender's advantage. It does allow you to go for a greedier build. It means that 2 gate openers are very rare on these maps. And because of that, we should be seeing Stargates from both players, and because of that, we should be seeing Phoenixes from both players. And this is how Phoenix Wars begin. It's all your fault, Amphion. Ramp, it's all your fault, Pappy. But there it is. There's a Stargate from Classic. There is a Stargate from Trap. Because both players see each other's Stargates, neither one should be going for the Oracle. Both should be going for Phoenixes, because if you go for the Oracle and your opponent is aware and goes for a Phoenix, then you're just behind. So this is how Phoenix Wars are born. This is how Phoenix Wars are made. And we should be headed in that direction. Again, we saw this last night between these two players on Site Delta, where Classic did overextend and bleed out a lot of units early on. We'll see if we can take a little bit more care of our Phoenixes here. Assuming it's Phoenixes, I mean, it's possible we could take a risk. We could try to go Oracle first, but it is so risky going for the Oracle. It's quite a move to go for. There's a Phoenix from Trap. We're going for it. Oracle for Classic. Okay, bold move. Now, because we are going for the Oracle, that means we will not have Phoenix Wars. Like, Classic, he says no. There are no to Phoenix Wars. That is not going to happen. But it's so difficult to actually make this work, to get damage done with the Oracle. Adept does shade into the main. Adept, it barely does slip in. Phoenix is revealed. Phoenix is busy here in the main base. Twilight Council followed. This should be for Blink Stalkers. Ooh, as we get a second probe kill, and we get a third as well. 3 probes already. Very nice damage here by Classic, and we're not done. The Oracle's going in. The Phoenix will move out, and we are going to miss the Oracle. Oh. Yeah, the Oracle is barely missed, and we're getting more damage done. Nothing in the main base. Probes are falling left and right. Trap out of position. Now the Phoenix has come in, but the damage was done. We get 8 probe kills. Ay, ay, ay. 9 in total. And with that, the Oracle has paid for itself. At this point, the Oracle could have died, and it's still worth it for Classic. And now we're working towards Blink Stalkers. Ooh, Trap going for a second Stargate, misreading the situation. The second Stargate for Mass Phoenix against Blink Stalkers. It can work. It's, we'll see. We'll see, as we're just in a really awkward position. Adept gets shut down. Zealot slipping into the main. Zealot does confirm as well. The Twilight Council will blink. I mean, a really interesting scout. As the Zealot confirms everything. The Zealot of all things. And back at home, Trap has to make a choice. You can see that Trap, he's not making any Phoenixes, and I don't blame him. He's in a rough position here because, I mean, again, Mass Phoenix can struggle against early game Blink Stalkers like this. Third base is on the way. Yeah, we're going for the Rover. We're going for a Rover. We're going for Immortals instead. Just a really awkward setup for Trap. He was prepared for Phoenix Wars. Alas, that's not coming. It's not happening. Phoenixes do get into the main. Probes are going down, and we recall the hell out of here. We recall back home. 4 probe kills. Meanwhile, the Stalkers are moving out. Thankfully, Trap is back at home to defend. Defending out his Phoenixes. But we lack a ground army. This is the ground army. One sentry. That's all we have. We have the 1 sentry. Shield battery is halfway done. And do we push in? Go for the revelation. We have eyes on the setup. Going for the shield battery. Shield battery goes down, but the Phoenixes have arrived. And they do make it back home, thankfully. Yeah, bit of missed target firing there at a Classic. But more Stalkers have arrived. Oh, and we're in trouble. Trappy's in a lot of trouble. Warp Gate just finished up. We depower everything here at the Natural. And we can just blink over the wall. We can and we do. Boys are being pulled. Phoenixes, they try to engage. And they do focus down one of the Stalkers. Immortal did arrive just barely in time. Second Stalker goes down. But Classic, he knows how much momentum he has. Takes down a gateway. Reinforcements have made it. Now the shield batteries are repowered. Do you have the shield batteries? Likewise, Oracle across the map, getting 5 probe kills. Not a bad trade here, getting 5 workers. Classic still has the lead. Oh my god, he just goes for the Immortal. Goes for a dive, he gets punished for the dive. Oh, that was not the play here for Classic. The Immortal barely holds on. Have additional Immortals on the way. Now additional Phoenixes. I mean, again, we need an army. That's the reality here. We just need whatever we can make. We're going Phoenix Immortal. Let's go. Against Blink Stalkers. Now, in a head-to-head fight, I think I want to favor Trap, especially if we have shield batteries. But if we can avoid them, if we can avoid the shield batteries, then Classic does have the advantage. And more reinforcements on the way. Third base up and running. Getting fully operational. We have 3 gates behind this. And we go for the Immortals once again. They're out of range of the shield batteries. One Immortal goes down. We're going for the third. GG gets called. It's just too much to handle at this point. And Classic takes game number 1. GG. A solid game there for Classic, and just a really rough situation for Trap. Is he was getting ready for Phoenix Wars, which is why he threw down the second Stargate very early on, to be fair, a little bit too early, before really confirming what was going on. And we had Classic instead deviating away, going for Blink Stalkers, and Trap was just in a really awkward position, stuck with production he didn't want, stuck without tech that he needed, and yeah, tried to scramble for a defense, getting into Immortals. Alas, Classic did take advantage of him early on. made sure he was able to punish Trap. And with that, we're getting into game 2. We're getting into that second game. Let's go. Gen G now also with an SE2 team. I believe Trap is their only player. I could be mistaken, but I believe Trap is their only player on Gen G. But yeah, has been on the team for a couple of months, right? Like, I think basically almost as soon as Trap came back, I think like a week or two later, he got picked up. So it's been a while, but it's really cool to see. Really appreciate the support that he is getting. And here we go. We're getting into game 2 and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Ghost River. We have our South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss representing Gen G Esports. It is Trap. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. Go. That's a wave them after Vitality and Cloud9. I mean, we've had a lot. We've had a Virtus Pro, like Virtus Pro picked up Estrella. We had a Team Falcons pick up Rogue. We had a Gaimin Gladiators pick up Shin. There's yeah. This is like the third wave. This is like the Gen G is like the third, maybe the fourth wave of big esports teams. Like third or fourth. Of course, Blacklist International is another one. True, picked up Creator. That was in the most recent wave. It is true. Yeah, because of EWC. Yeah. For those who don't know, a lot of these bigger esports teams are picking up individual players. It's a good and a bad thing. I mean, at least teams are partnering. Like teams are partnering up. And all right, Weibo Gaming, of course. We almost forgot. Weibo Gaming is another big one. They acquired Dragon Kai Z Gaming. But for those that are unaware, EWC is the Esports World Cup, and basically they have a clause. They have a way to support other esports. Basically, if you're an esports team and if you're competing in like Dota, for example, in Dota 2, in the Esports World Cup, and if you happen to be in multiple esports, so if you happen to be in, I don't know, like Rocket League or whatever other esports they have there, StarCraft 2, of course, is another big one that is going to be at EWC. If you are competing in multiple esports, you get a bonus. You do get a bonus. It's like $500,000 or something. It's like it's a pretty big bonus. So basically, esports teams, they do benefit for having for competing in multiple esports in the event, which is why a lot of StarCraft 2 players are getting picked up. So really cool to see that there is support for them. Meanwhile, we're opening up 2-gate opener here at a Trap, 2-gate opener at a Classic. Trap, ooh, does take down the initial Stalker. Very nice control. Take down the initial Stalker. The other going to get picked off as well as we have the high ground. Oh my, Trap, calm down. Trading 2 for 0 here. Very nicely done. As Classic did overextend, took an initially rough fight, and does bleed out 2 Stalkers. Bappy. Okay, we're cooking. Behind this is going to be a Twilight Council opener. Of course, we're expanding, taking our natural bases, and working towards Blink. Going to be Blink here from Trap. Meanwhile, Classic opening up with the Stargate. Oracle's moving out. Oracle is moving out across the map. Likewise, Trap setting up back at home. We have our initial shield battery at the natural, shield battery in the main. We are ready for the Oracle aggression. But are we ready for the second Oracle? So the first Oracle can do a lot of damage, but for those that are curious, a shield battery does out-heal the DPS of an Oracle for the most part. So a shield battery can keep you covered and allow you to warp in defensively. But with a second Oracle, we can one-shot probes. Well, Hallucination does confirm. Trap is pushing in. Trap, he does commit, but pushing into a shield battery into an overcharge. Well, I'm not sure if we can really break this. Yeah, the shield battery is done in time. Here come the force fields. Oh, we catch in depth. Ah, not quite. Yeah, the Adept does slip away. Meanwhile, across the map, Oracles, they make their way into the main. And again, they can one-shot probes. And they are going to be going ham, forcing the recall. It's going to be 4, 5, almost 6 probes. 6 probes in total. And the Oracles do get away. So very nice damage here out of Classic. Makes up for his otherwise lost Stalkers. He does defend. And he attacks. Classic does catch up on that probe count. Working towards his own blink. Now, there is going to be a window. There's going to be a window where Trap has blink and Classic does not. It's going to be that window. As we try to keep up with the Adepts, we do shade across the map. Yeah, we shade into the mineral line. Probes once again under fire. We get 2 more probes. Oracles, they dive into the main. This time overextending for a moment here. Yeah, Stalkers were in position. This time Trap much better prepared. From here we expand, take a 3rd base. Building up. Likewise, Classic still on his own 2-base setup. And we should soon be seeing a 3rd. See if Classic does commit. For now, we're still in 3 bases. Sorry, 3 gateways, what I meant to say. We're still in 3 gates, and it looks like we will soon take a 3rd. But Trap is in position. He's here. He does spot the probe. Oh! Probe goes down. We delay the expansion. Trap soon to be on 3-base saturation. We're building up. And Classic has to make a tough decision soon. He's going to have to either double down and commit, or, yeah, just reestablish and take a later 3rd. And he will expand. We'll throw it at the Nexus. At least economically, Classic has been doing a lot of damage. Looking at Units Lost tab, it's been 9 probe kills so far. And we still have both Oracles alive behind the main base. We can still get more damage done. Meanwhile, we do see Trap getting into his own 3rd gateway, now building up Immortal production. Immortals are amassing. Classic does move out. Classic does have a comparable army here with Trap. With the help of the shield battery, we should be able to hold on. Sniping 1 Stalker. Oh! Classic taking a bit of a better trade here. And force fields are thrown down, and with the help of these force fields, we do force back the army. Trap in a bit of trouble. At the same time, Oracles, they hit the natural once again. Finally, an Oracle goes down. We get 3 more probes. Trap still trying to recover. Still rebuilding those workers. Classic building up more Stalkers. Classic going for a very gateway-heavy composition with Blink Stalkers and Chargelots. Trap incorporating Immortals instead. Skipping out on charge for the time being. And it looks like we're even able to catch out an Immortal. We catch the reinforcements. Immortal goes down. We go for the dive. We're going straight for the main. We depower the Robo. Slipping into the main base, getting more probe kills. And from here, we can always just recall. We can and we will. It's going to cost us a couple of Stalkers. Yeah, 3 Stalkers going down. But it's going to be worth it. At the same time, Oracle hits the 3rd. We got 5 probe kills. We deny mining time. And Classic making use of his greater Stalker army. Able to just outposition Trap. Again, it's one of those things that even though Trap had a faster 3rd, because he had so many probes, he's still playing catch-up in a sense. Working towards our upgrades, taking up in similar fashions. Charge. Into Archon production. Temple Archives on the way. Taking out 4th bases. The game's still looking quite close. Or again, that's the kind of the give and take here. Trap, sure, he had the faster expansions. Classic has been killing more workers. Again, there's very little room for error here on Ghost River because of the size of the map. Doesn't take long at all to counterattack, to push in, to dive into the main like we just saw. Doesn't take long at all. Do settle in. Oracle's still alive with 9 kills. Base getting up and running. And for now, we're just chilling. We're just calming things down. I believe we should be waiting for our initial Archons. Never mind. Temple Archives are done. And there we go. High Templar being morphed in. Here come those Archons. It will help quite a bit when it comes to dealing with the charged composition. Oracle hits the 4th. 3 probe kills. That's a lot of Zealots here for Classic. It's going to be 19 Zealots for the Red Protoss. Classic now getting into his own Archons. First one is morphing in. Again, the way this works is Charged are ideal against Stalkers and Immortals. Which is why both players do have to take in towards Archon production as well. To help deal with those Zealots, to buffer for the rest of the army. And Trap setting up a split push. Have a drop towards the north. Main army towards the center. Still just posturing. Looks like both players will max out. Aggression has subsided, or harassment has subsided. And Shrap actually only made the singular Immortal. I mean, his Robo was depowered earlier, the second Immortal quite delayed. Classic does have an Immortal lead. Prism across the map is spotted. And Classic is moving out. Is attempting to get up the ramp. Ooh, has to back off. Again, that ramp is so narrow, you don't want to be caught on it. Rotating around. A lot of this will come down to the angle of attack and the positioning of the Archons, the positioning of the Zealots. The way this works is you want to pull back the Zealots, you don't want them to run into the Archons, otherwise they will just melt. Likewise, Immortals and Stalkers want to focus them down. The Archons, I mean. So far, good positioning here by Trap. Classic doesn't quite commit. We tease it, Papa. We do tease it. We don't quite commit. Pulling back. +3 is on the way for both players. And Classic, he backs off. He throws down a second Robo and a Bay. We're getting ready for Disruptors. And that's kind of almost the final form of PvP. And the final form would be Sky Toss, but now Disruptors are ideal here in the mid-game. Likewise, second Robo and the Bay for Trap as well. Both players working towards Disruptors. Dark Shrine here for Classic. Do love to see it. Zealots dropping into the mineral line. At the same time, Immortal's getting caught out. And Trap having a better engagement here, but he will lose the base. Nexus does fall. Trap pushing forward. A lot of his supply not able to engage though. Does blink forward, does focus down another Immortal. Yeah, but Trap does have to pull back. And the Immortals, they do so much in the back line, and the Zealots across the map, they're getting out of hand. They're getting out of control. Probes are going down. Trap does win out in the main fight, but that's going to be 20 worker kills. Oh my god. 25. 25 probes go down. We're still not done. We depower the gateways. We deny +3. We don't quite get on top of the Robo. Again, just a really awkward engage here from a Trap. Leading out Stalkers, a Prism coming back in. Threatening a dive. Is going to be forced back, and as the dust does settle, I do favor Trap's army here. Looking at the army sizes, we have 3 Immortals, but now we have Disruptors. The Disruptors, papi. Classic making 2 at a time, and Trap has not begun Disruptor production. Uh-oh. Never's going off. Never goes off. The Immortals does connect. Good connection here with the Immortals. Second never goes off. Catches the Stalkers. DT's in the mix as well. Where is the detection? There is none. And Classic, he collapses on the Immortals, collapses on the main army. The Prism goes down. The Immortals are trapped. We're cleaning everything up. GG gets called. The economy in shambles, and Classic will take the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. It was an interesting PvP here where both players were kind of like settling into a 4-base or 5-base setup. Both players were maxing out. Both players were teching in the same way. But we saw that one player embraced that tech, the other not so much. As Classic was able to get into his disruptors, but even before that, the split push from Classic did so well for him. He killed 25 probes in the natural base, and then some. Remember, he delayed and he denied +3. He was able to deny some of the production and able to, yeah, just get into a better position from that moment onwards. If you remember, the main fight did go in favor of Trap. Trap did win out in the main fight, but did get outscaled there by Classic in the end. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Classic. My condolences to Trap, but again, Trap did get his revenge in ESL Open Cup Asia, so we do see both Trap and Classic having a back and forth. Classic winning in KSL, Trap winning in ESL Asia, and with that, Classic advances on to the semifinals. Does advance on to the semis, and we will be getting our semifinals ready. Okay, we're going to be going on a short break. We are halfway through the broadcast. We're going to be going on a short break. When we return, we will have both semifinals and then the grand finals thereafter. Up next on the channel is going to be a PvT between Classic and Bjorn, as Classic advances on to face off against Bjorn in those semifinals. And likewise, we also have Dark versus Nightmare. Oh boy. Dark versus Nightmare is going to be our next, or the semifinals thereafter. Again, we saw Nightmare earlier take down Mio Micah. Saw him take down Mio. And we'll see how he compares to Dark. For now, we're going to be going on a short break. Going to be going on that short break. Take this moment to hydrate your hydras, stretch your roaches, massage your marines, and cuddle your carriers. When we return, when we come back, we will have the remainder of the broadcast. See you soon. See you soon. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Korean StarCraft League, to the KSL week number 53. We just wrapped up with some matches from the round of 16 and the quarterfinals. Now we are back with the semifinals and the grand finals thereafter. Oh boy, we just saw classic takedown trap in a PvP, and now we're here to embrace something different, a PvT instead. Classic versus Byun. Let's go. Of course, Byun, one of the stronger Terran players in all of South Korea. When it comes to these online events, Maru is not really seen too often, but we see Byun, we see Kyor, we see Ryung, we see plenty of these other big top Terran players face off, and I love that Byun is a part of this. For those that are unaware, Korean Terran players are a rarity in the KSL, because this is a little bit earlier in the day. This is around noon. This is around noon on a Saturday, and we rarely get to see Gumiho, Kyor, Byun, and we even asked them about it. We're like, yo, what's going on? And they're like, it's too early, Poppy. It's too early in the morning. So the Korean Terrans, they're a little bit more degen. They like to sleep in. I mean, it's a weekend. Sleeping in the weekend, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. But alas, that's why we often don't see them in the KSL, and it's a little bit more Protoss and Zerg dominated, with players like Hero, Classic, Dark, and Shin. So that's kind of the reasoning for that. We do have confirmation of that as well. That's why we see more Terran representation in ESL Asia, for example, which is later in the day, far later in the day instead. But again, I appreciate that Byun, he was willing to wake up early today, you know, noon. Let's go. Did wake up a little bit earlier and is now facing off against Classic. I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. Let's go. Jumping into game one on site Delta. Jumping into site Delta here. Again, Byun and Classic, very comparable players. Classic being top 2 Protoss in all of Korea. Byun likewise being a top Terran player in Korea as well. I'm willing to embrace this, as spawning in the top left-hand corner of Site Delta, we have our South Korean Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Byun. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. We go. TVP is here again. Byun, I'm of course reminded of what we saw over the weekend. Over the weekend a little bit. I say over the weekend. During ESL Open Cup Asia, we also did feature Byun as well. If you recall, we saw Byun versus Kyor in the semifinals. I mean, we didn't quite get to see it. It was over on the Korean channel and into the Inu. And Byun, he was able to have a fabulous TVT there. Went all the way to the late game. So I'm curious how he does approach the TVP matchup. Historically, Byun has been very active, very bio-centric, and very bio-heavy, relying a lot on Marine Marauder and drop play as well. I'm curious if that is still the case, especially in recent times. We'll be keeping an eye on Byun. Likewise, Classic, more often than not, willing to embrace the more classic Phoenix Colossus style, potentially earlier Blink, or Twilight Counter with the Blink into 3 gateways. Into a 3-way setup. We shall see. As for now, just gate expanded to Cybercore. A bit of a greedier build here by Classic. More often than not, we see Protoss players delay the expansion and go for the Cybercore first. Classic going for the faster Nexus. Meanwhile, back at home, Byun opening up double gas. Okay, you have my attention. With this double gas opener, it leads into a faster factory, into a delayed command center. And with this kind of setup, we have options. We can go Reactor Reaper Hellion, we can go for a Mine Drop, we can go for Cyclones, hello, or we can set up for some drop play. Hello, Mr. SCV. Oh, where are we going? I was about to say that we're set up to go for a starport, to go for some Hellions, but okay, there we go. I was like, where are we going? SCV turns back around. It's going to be a Stargate opener out of Classic, and I believe a proxy starport from Byun. There it is. Starport is on the way. This should be for medevac production for a Hellion drop into the main. Now, we've seen Hellion drops just straight up win TVPs. They have just popped off and roasted Mineral Lions in just one game from there. We'll see if Classic can keep up with this, can get a read on what is going on. See if he can. But now back at home with the Stargate opener should be for Phoenixes. We could open up Oracle. We'll keep an eye on Classic. Just settling in. Has an Adept across the map, and there it is. It's going to be an Oracle opener out of our Korean Protoss. Okay, with this, we're going to be harassing across the map. Could be going up to even a second Oracle as well. We'll be delaying Phoenixes, and that means that this drop is going to pop off. Marines move out. I love that these Marines, basically their goal is to shut down the Adept. Is to make sure that there is no scouting from Classic, that he does not see this coming. Adept does fall back, and that means that the Hellions, they break out. Hellions do break out, and actually, I assumed that this was just going to be a Hellion drop into the main, but no, it's going to be a Marine drop into the main. And Hellions towards a natural. Okay, a bit of a multi-pronged attack here out of Björn. How does this all come together? Even the SCV? Okay. The Oracle is chilling back at home, thankfully. We have 3 Adepts, we have the Oracle. Diving into the main. Adepts are in position, we force the pickup. At the same time, Hellions towards the natural, but ooh, the wall is solid. And we do defend. 1 probe goes down. Marines dropping back over. Hellions rotating as well. Well, Adepts are within range. Barely not. The SimCity working against Classic here. Ooh, the Adepts taking a lot of damage. Viking has arrived. Okay, as we are just... yeah, we're going to be producing Vikings here for the proxy. Cybercore under fire. Yeah, it's going to go down. There's no saving it. Backup Cybercore on the way. Prepared to lose. Or prepared to lose the Cybercore. Backup Raxes. Getting to our 3-1-1. As we rotate over towards the natural instead. Stalker's getting in position. Adepts as well. Good juggling here out of Björn. Just barely save that cycle, but we have the overcharge. Yeah, we can hold. Classic does hold, and he doesn't even lose the Cybercore. Bappy, let's go. Holds on to his natural, holds on to his main. So far, the wall is solid. And across the map, the Oracles, they're going ham. They eviscerate the economy. SVs are going down left and right. We do have an Oracle to defend, but barely any mining. At the same time, Hellies, they get into the main. The probes. Oh my god, they almost line up. Do line up. Volley's going to be going up. 9 probes go down. At the same time, we're pushing in towards the natural. Once again, the hot pickup of the Cyclones. But the Immortal does focus one of them down. Ooh, the Viking as well. We do bleed out the Immortal. A very chaotic push here. Shield battery falls. No more overcharge. But it's basically pure Marine. And Vanilla Marine at that. Yeah, we're being cleaned up. GG gets caught. Björn, he runs out of steam. He cannot break through. He lost everything back at home. And Classic survives, taking the first game. Whew. GG. Classic does weather the storm. Again, Björn, he had 18 SCVs back at home. He lost so many workers to the Oracle harass. And likewise, he barely did not break the back of Classic. It was close. It was close with Classic, but Classic did hold. And with that, Classic takes a 1-0 lead. From here, we're going to be settling into Game 2. Going to be settling into Oceanborn. Whew. And again, just a very aggressive build initially out of Björn. I assumed it was just going to be a Hellion drop, but no, it was going to be Marine drop, plus Hellions, plus Vikings proxied across the map. Again, it was just hyper-aggression out of Björn. He was so committed. Alas, didn't break his opponent in the end, and now we're going to be calming things down. We're going to be settling into Game 2 and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn. We have our South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Björn. And in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Twisted Minds, leading the series 1-0. It is Classic. Let us go. Whew. Again, in that last game, Björn was one base all in. Was completely all in on the one base. Had no expansion. Had no follow-up. It was all or nothing for Björn. And alas, Classic did end up holding. And yeah, I'm a little bit in shock. We often don't see one base all ins out of Björn. We see that out of players like Gumiho, out of Oliveira. So really interesting to see Björn embrace that as well. We do see Classic checking the Classic proxy location. Very common to go for the proxy here and then float it into the main. Classic does confirm. And Beyond back at home, back across the map, is opening up economically. This time, only one gas. Only the one gas geyser. So Beyond not going to be anywhere near as tech heavy, going for the racks into CC on the low ground. Command center is going to be on the way. Probe does dip in to confirm. And the probe will get eyes on the lack of second gas. Command center already on the way. So this time we actually expand. we did not see an expansion last game out of Beyond, so this time we're able to settle into a longer macro game. Interesting, prioritizing the tech lab. Okay, are we going for fast marauders? I would assume so. Beyond being active. Yep, Marauder opener here out of Beyond. Now, the goal here for Beyond is to catch the initial Adepts or Stalkers. The way this works is that Classic should be moving out. He should be active with these initial gateway units. And the last thing he's going to be expecting is Concussive Shell. So, with good enough control from Beyond, we can catch the initial gateway units and completely shut them down as the Adept is moving out. Meanwhile, once again, Classic opening up Stargate. Maybe a Stargate opener. We saw last game it was for Oracles. This time we'll see if we embrace Oracles once again or go for Phoenixes. Adept does move out. Concussive Shell finishing up just in time. Would you have the one Marauder already? And there we go. We do get the slow on the Adept. The Adept is going to be shut down. Do we get the Marine? We do not. Nice control out of Beyond. Does manage to get away. As long as we can stutter step and keep up with the Adept, we can focus it down, and it looks like we will. So a nice initial catch. Adept does fall, and now we can push out. Back at home, we have the one Adept. Oracle's on the way. No safety shield battery here for Classic. Thankfully, though, Beyond is staying back at home. He's not pushing. Doesn't risk it. Chilling back at home, getting into his own 3-1-1 setup. Ooh, okay, talking about aggression. We saw in game 1, Beyond embraced the 1-base all-in. I'm curious if this is the beginning of a 2-base all-in. What I'm referring to, I don't see a starport. We have a 3-rack setup before the starport. This is the beginnings of a 2-base all-in. With this, we can just build up a bio count, prioritize stim, and pull the boys. If we see a starport, then we can go towards medevacs, drop play, and take a third and expand. Otherwise, we could just be hyper-aggressive. We have the eBay that's going to be for +1, bearing in mind it's only the one eBay for the one upgrade. Keep an eye on the production. Marines are fanning out. Meanwhile, Classic is taking a third. Okay. So Stargate, Oracle opener into a third base. Oracles are moving out. We do have 2 Oracles. They can one-shot probes or one-shot SCVs. Damage can be done. As Beyond barely does, catch a glimpse. And does he respond? He's got units. He's got units in position. Starport is indeed on the way. Okay, so we're not going for the 2-base all-in. Starport for that medevac production. Cyclone in position. Oracles don't get much done. And will be deflected. Now, as we're building up on 2 bases, Beyond will still have a bit of a power spike here with Stim. Can still be quite assertive. Marine goes down. And Beyond is going to be pushing out. We're even catching an Oracle. Very nicely done here. First Oracle goes down. Second one does spot the move out. And confirms that we still have saturation here at the natural, so we have not pulled the boys. Classic getting ready back at home. We have a shield battery. We have a second shield battery on the way. Overcharge going to be available. And Beyond shouldn't be able to achieve too much. I mean, he does have Stim. Does have potential to dive on in. Does have potential. Getting a lock on. Not quite committing. And Stasis trap on the way. Observer does get eyes on this, and Beyond pulls back. I appreciate this. Beyond, he confirms that, okay, you're set up, you have shield batteries, 2 of them even. I'm just going to pull back, calm things down, and get ready to expand. Medevacs are rallying across the map. Third TC soon to be on the way, as the SCV's on location. And Beyond even going for some drop play, okay. So he has reinforcements, keeping the army busy at the third base. And we drop into the natural. And can we get some economic damage done? Looks like we can. 3, 4, 5 probes going down. Not quite depowering the bay. But we do get a pylon. And we go for the bay itself. Ooh. Does survive, doesn't quite go down. Bjorn dropping on the low ground. Phoenixes are on the way, and Bjorn is expanding, is getting a third. At the same time, does threaten the third base. Leading out a Cyclone. Not getting too much here. Shields are triggered. But we have a Phoenix Colossus set up here from Classic. Extend the lance on the way. Bjorn picking up, dropping into the main. 2 drops active right now. Towards the main, towards the natural. The Phoenixes do catch the Medivacs. No! Do have to boost away just barely in time. 1 Medivac doesn't go down. At the same time, we drop into the natural. Once again, that rover, that bay is exposed. And this time, can we get it? Oh, it's going to be close. Oh, we barely don't. The base survives once again with the overcharge. We keep it alive. Classic is holding. Is surviving. Behind this, third base getting saturated. Bjorn pulling back. Now, thankfully, Bjorn hasn't lost too much. You can see here he bled out a Cyclone, he bled out 7 Marines, hasn't lost any Marauders, hasn't lost any Medivacs. No major losses yet for Bjorn. What I'm referring to is his army has been able to build up. He's been able to sustain his army, build it up over time. Now hit quite strong here at the third. Overcharge was just popped. It's on cooldown. We stim on in. We stim on forward. The Colossus able to stand strong, though. We do have a Zealot buffer for the Robo army. Classic is holding. Observer gets caught out. Bjorn does have to pull back, getting into Viking production. Vikings on the way. Are on the way. Again, that will help against the Colossus. Will help against the Phoenixes as well. Ghost Academy getting ready for, I imagine, a 4CC. We're going to be able to embrace a longer game. I'm ready for it. We haven't actually seen much mid-game today. Like, I mean, I guess we saw 4 bases at a Hon Mono, but that was a very different kind of TVP. Likewise, we saw a split map scenario between Classic and Trap, but that was also more of an oddity. That was, was a very different kind of setup. So we do see Bjorn with the 4th. Likewise, Classic also taking his own 4th base. I will say that Classic's 4th is a little bit delayed. Something could have been thrown down earlier after the initial deflection. Stasis does go up. And we have +1 air attack on the way. Let's go. I mean, Classic in this matchup, he's known for rushing into Skytoss whenever he can. We still at least have multiple forms of splash damage. I mean, Storm is about to finish, +2. Immortal production. But can a Classic get away with a Fleet Beacon, a 2nd Stargate, and carrier production? We can, we will get there. Vikings threatening the Colossus. Takes down the Observer. There's the 2nd Stargate. There's a Fleet Beacon. And are we too greedy? Zealot run by does distract the army of Zealots at the natural. Zealots at the 3rd base. The entire army turns around. Classic dragging Bjorn all the way back home. SCV's heart going down. Oh my god, 9-10 SCVs. Zealots wreaking havoc in the main base and at the 3rd. Even catching reinforcements, we barely don't get the Ghost. But a very nice counterattack here by Classic. It doesn't just get damage done, but it also forces back the entire army, and it gives Classic the breathing room he needs to get into Skytoss. The carriers, they're coming. They're on the way. At least we do have the setup. There it is, 1st carrier in production. And Bjorn is in the dark. Bjorn is not fully aware now. Thankfully, because of Bjorn's composition, going for a very marine-heavy style with Ghosts, with EMPs, and with Vikings, we just some anti-air. We have the 7 Vikings in the sky. Taking 3 Vikings at a time. catching Zealots. Once we realize what's going on, we should be going for a more bio-heavy composition, or I say bio-heavy. We should be throwing down additional starports and getting ready for Liberators, like Viking Lib. But for the time being, Bjorn is in the dark, and I believe Bjorn, okay, thankfully does have +1 ship weapons. Has yet to begin +2. Oracle goes down, we get the Revelation. Scan reveals the main army. Ooh, massive state. Oh my god. We catch half the army in Classic. He could try to dive on this. It does push forward. He could either dive on the army or just wait to storm. Oh, this is a brutal cache here. The Colossus are a bit exposed. We have to be careful. Show us the storms. One Colossus goes down. The second almost. Yeah, the Bio Army does stem forward, and it looks like Classic overextends. Bleeds out the Colossus, bleeds out of the Immortals, everything goes down. Ay, ay, ay. I like the idea, but Classic, in the blink of an eye, will lose everything. GG gets called, and Bjorn very quickly takes game number 2. GG. I like the idea of, like, catching the Stasis Army, but, like, rubbing up against the army with your Colossus of all things was terrifying. Immediately, the Colossus, they just focused down immediately. We stormed, but likewise, the storm was also on top of the Protoss army as well. Like that was a brutal fight. I understand the temptation, though. I understand the temptation. GG. GG, well played. It's one of those things where like oh my, like I caged a bear. Like it's amazing. I can do whatever I want to it. It's like, Papi, it's still a bear. Like that was like he stasis trapped like 8 Marauders. He like there were like 2 ghosts in there as well. Like that was still an army to be respected. It's not like we had disruptors to like time the Nova, right to connect with the units or anything like that. We had Storm, which takes time, especially against Marauders. GG. GG, well played. With that, we're getting ready for the ace match. Getting ready for the ace match here. Getting ready for game 3. It's that's one of those moments where like you can have like a freeze frame of Classic's face. It's and like there's if we had face cams, it's like this is the moment where Classic realized that he messed up, you know? like mistakes were made, Papi. Mistakes were made. Aye, aye, aye. But here we go. We're settling into game 3, the ace match, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkion, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Bjorn. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. Here we go. Also, before I forget, in the middle of that game, a shout out to Chileno in the chat. Chileno Singaporean, subscribing with the Twitch Prime for 40 months. That's a lot of months. Thank you so much, Chileno. Papi, gracias, papi, gracias. Thank you so much for the support for so long, for so many years. We do appreciate it. Long time supporter of the channel. Gracias, papi, gracias. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. And welcome to the KSL. Always good to see you, Papi. Always good to see you. I see this. He's just like me. Hashtag relatable, Papi. True, true. You see a big stasis, you just jump on the army, right? Oh no. A whole lot of lot. See. But for now, we're settling in. Getting into our ace match is going to be a much more standard opener here. Gate expand out of Classic. Likewise, Bjorn opening up double gas. Okay, double gas opener, it's going to be a faster factory, delayed expansion. We saw in the previous game, in game number 1, this led into a, not quite a Hellion drop, it led into a proxy starport into a one base all-in, which I was shocked to see. Like, we don't often see one base all-ins in TVP, and alas, it did fall on its face. But from here, we can go into Reaper Hellion, we can go into a mine drop, a committed mine drop, into Cyclone production. I'm curious where Bjorn takes us this time. As we are setting up for a CC on the low ground. Once again, Classic embracing the Stargate opener. He's going for a Stargate opener every single game. Classic not one to embrace Blink Stalkers. Not in this series, at least. So it's just going to be purely Stargate production. Most likely into Oracles, then into Phoenixes. Meanwhile, we have our 1-1-1. There's a reactor on the way. We have made a handful of Reaper Hellion, but it's really just for map control. And there it is. The Widowmines have begun. We're setting up for some drop play. Now getting ready for drop play. Reaper Hellion does catch the Adept. Ooh, first Adept goes down. We does not get the Reaper. Initial Reaper does survive. Beyond moving out. It is going to be the Oracle opener at a Classic. And we do get eyes on the shield battery. Reapers do dip into the main. Yeah, they're going for the full scout. One probe goes down. It's going to cost us the Reapers, and we do not get behind the mineral line. Very nice target fire here at a Classic. Hellion doing what it can. 3 probes full so far. And we get another probe. Oh my god. Not bad. Beyond making the best out of those Reapers. Gets 4 probe kills and a scout. Does confirm the Oracles. And back at home, Cyclones. We have our Cyclone production getting underway. We have our initial Widowmine drop as well. Again, a Widowmine drop opener with a handful of Marines. Drop is moving out. And hopefully we're able to defend against these Oracles. So we're headed for the natural. Cyclone is going to be able to finish up, but the Oracle gets here first, and there's nothing at home to defend. We did load up the Marines. Okay, 2 SCV kills. Cyclone does arrive. Same time, we do have our Widowmine drop here towards the left-hand side. Second Oracle moving out. A drop does come in. And Classic does respond. He does react. Yeah, Marines are dropped as well, focusing down the probes. But the shield battery means we barely lose anything. Oh, the Might Shot! Oh my god. Might Shot could have been brutal. We do pop the overcharge, and Classic does defend. At the same time across the map, we head for the main base. And we head for the natural. Oh, Bjorn just moved out. Bjorn out of position! Yeah, SCVs are going down left and right. At the same time, the drop in the main base is shut down. We get 6 SCV kills. Getting 8 SCVs. 8 workers go down. The drop is being cleaned up, and both Oracles, they both escape with barely any damage dealt to them. Bjorn in a rough position. He's down to 28 workers. He's bled out 10 SCVs so far, and he hasn't done enough. Once again, rallying everything across the map, and once again, leaving his bases exposed. There's not much at home. The Oracles are coming back. They're coming back. The Oracles are coming back in. More SCVs going down. Beyond, we're forced all in. At this point, there's no turning back. There's no turning around. It's all or nothing for Beyond. As we're losing everything in the main base. Here we go. What do we have to work with? We have 1 Liberator. We have a Viking. We have Vanilla Marines. Against an overcharge. We focus down the Lib. The Lib goes down. Two Immortals as well. There's no breaking this. There's no breaking this position. Meanwhile, back at home, the Oracles, once again, they escaped. With another 8 workers. The Oracles are still on full HP as well. They just ran out of energy. They just ran out of energy, and again, this aggressive style out of Bjorn is being punished so hard for being so active on the map and just didn't achieve much with it. Again, it was hoping that maybe Classic would be more defensive. 1 Oracle finally goes down. We focus on every single Marine. The Cyclones as well. GG gets called. There is nothing left to defend, and Classic will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. A very chaotic style there out of Beyond, just hyper aggressive, just never leaving anything at home to defend. And ideally in this position, I'm sure Beyond was hoping that his aggression would force Classic to be defensive, would force Classic to keep his Oracles at home, throw down stasis traps, and again, just respect the army a little bit more. Alas, Classic didn't care. He just kept his, he's like, man, I'm gonna just keep hitting your mineral lines. I'm fine, Bobby. I'm fine. He had his shield batteries back at home. He had his immortal production. Back at home, he was safe and sound. He was able to keep up with the drop play and annihilate the economy of Bjorn. GG. Congratulations, Classic will be our first finalist of the night, and we are here to determine who faces off against Classic in those finals. Who's it going to be? Who is it going to be? As up next, we have a ZVP between Dark and Nightmare. Again, earlier we did cast Nightmare versus Miyamika. Nightmare already able to flex his PvZ against Miyamika, the King of the Sea, but what about Dark, the best Zerg player in South Korea? Here we go, we're diving into game number 1 on Alkyone. Let's go. Bjorn was angry at those oracles, wanted to kill them before that. GG. He did focus them down. I did notice that as well. Did focus on the oracles first before the rest of the army got out of hand. But here we go. We're getting into our first game and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkyone. And we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Talon Esports. It is Dark. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Bleed Esports. It is Nightmare. Here we go. Now, I bring this up all the time. Nightmare, he is a beast in a PvT and PvP. He has some of the best PvT in the world. Nightmare, he's insane against Terran players and against Protosses. Against Zerg, he has been improving. He has been improving. More and more often nowadays, we're seeing Nightmare bring down Solar. We're seeing Nightmare bring down Dark as well. Nightmare, he's been able to pop off more and more frequently as of late. I would still not say he's the favorite player, but there's something about Nightmare joining Bleed Esports. I mean, I'm sure it feels good finally joining a new team, being motivated, getting the support as well. Like, I'm sure Nightmare has a lot of motivation coming into these past couple of months. We've even been seeing him competing in our tournaments as well. He's this week's Sparkling Tuna. True. Is this week's Sparkling Tuna. But it's all about consistency and about whether or not he can get a handle on the PvZ and get a handle on Dark. The problem is that you can like work on improving your PvZ and like improve your matchup, but the reality is that you don't get practice against Dark unless you play against Dark, right? Like, he's not a standard Zerg player. Dark is arguably the most aggressive Zerg player out there, especially at this level of play. Like Dark, he's more chaotic than Cyril, he's more chaotic than Raynor as well. Like, Dark is just hyper aggressive and more than willing to embrace these all-ins. We saw that earlier today. If you were here earlier today, we casted Dark against Estrella in ESL Open Cup Americas. We saw Dark be very chaotic in his ZVPs. Also did compete against Geralt. So we'll see how we open things up as Dark does expand at the unnatural location. Another big factor that I'm sure Nightmare remembers is that Dark is willing to go for the gold as a natural base. Didn't go for it this time, but is always a threat. As a bit of like a setup or a taste for what's to come. Against Estrella earlier today, Dark 12 pulled. He went for a 12 pull proxy hatch game 1, and game 2 Dark went for a Link Queen Nidus all in. Off of like 2 base saturation. So again, just hyper aggression out of Dark, at least earlier today. We'll see how he does engage Nightmare. So now Link's move out across the map. Oh, we get a probe kill. First probe goes down. And can we get a second worker? Oh, not quite. One probe is still good enough. Link Scout is denied, as I believe Dark does not get eyes on the tech. Doesn't get eyes on the Stargate. Adept steps in. Doesn't get much done. Trading against Lings, not getting any workers. Dark does defend. And we're going for a Void Ray opener. Okay, you have my attention. Is going to be a Void Ray opener out of Nightmare. Now, with a Void Ray opener, the goal here is to shut down the Overlord. You shut down the Overlords and you deny vision, deny scouting. Now, we saw against Miyamika earlier in this tournament, Nightmare did open up Void Ray into Skytoss. He rushed into Tempest production and went into a second Stargate, Fleet Beacon, Tempest into a third base. We'll see what Nightmare has in store for us this time. Could just be a Void Ray into Twilight Council, into Glaive Adepts. Could be Skytoss, could be Mass Void Ray. Could be Fast Blink, it could be a third, and just a Forge and a Twilight Council into a standard game. That's the scary thing about Void Ray openers, is it could be anything. Nightmare does have options. We'll see what he does embrace. For now, is expanding, taking his third at least. Moving out across the map, looking for another Overlord. Does come across the Queens. We'll have to back off. Void Ray pulls back, Adepts a shade into the third base. Lings were lying in wait. And good target fire, we can focus on the first Adept. And we do manage to get two drone kills. Can we get a third? Ooh, barely not. 2 drones go down. And show us our tech of choice. There we go. Twilight Council and a Forge after the third base. Third base is almost done. This looks like a more standard follow-up. Meanwhile, that is a faster lair. Okay, interesting. Not the fastest lair that we've seen. This is around a 4-minute 40 lair timing. Around 4:40. There we go. Roach Warren is on the way. Oracle's trying to keep up. And it looks like Dark may just embrace this and go into Roach Ravager. There's no Overlord speed. There's no indication here of like a German Taxi or a 3-base all-in. Not yet. Eva Chamber's on the way for upgrades. We're settling in. We are going to be settling in. Likewise, Nightmare working towards a standard macro game as well. Into the mid-game. Working towards the mid-game. There's a bit of a gateway explosion. I believe we have a 6-gate setup here from Nightmare. Yeah, it is going to be 6 gateways here from our Protoss player. Is going to be enough to be active on the map. And there's further tech on the way. Going to be a Robo, potentially into a Bay, into Colossus production, into a 4th base. And we calm things down. Again, we're loading into Alcyone. This is one of the most macro-oriented maps in the map pool. We often see 4, 5, 6 bases here, cutting the map in half. Going for longer games. Infestation bits on the way here for Dark. Should be for Hive Tech. And there's the Hydra Den. We're getting ready for Hydra Lurker Viper. The first sign of Lurker Tech on the way. So it looks like Dark has identified that Nightmare is being more tech heavy and macroing. 4th base, Robo, soon to be additional gases taken as well. So this is a good read of the situation here from Dark to recognize it's safe to tech up in such a way. Stalkers do move out, but Dark does have a standing army. Can he save the base? He's in position. Lings, they dive in. Stasis Trap does catch a handful of Lings, 3 Lings. They do get caught. But Dark is keeping up. And more Roaches are amassing. The base did take some volleys. And we can force this back. Dark even punishing this here, focusing on Stalkers. Stalkers do go down. Meanwhile, there's that Bay that we spoke about. Second Robo, so it's going to be double Colossus production out of Dark. Now, the scary thing for... Sorry, out of Nightmare. The scary thing for Nightmare, though, is that Dark is already working towards its Hive. Lurker Den is on the way. Hive should be on the horizon here to get ready for Viper Tech as well. Taking the gold base. Like, Dark is really just embracing and taking up very quickly here. In towards that Hive Tech. I mean, as much as I say that, the Hive has yet to begin. we should be starting the Hive soon. Should be starting. Should be on the way already. It's not, but it should be. There we go. Hive is a little bit delayed. So that means that the Lurker Den is going to be a little bit early. Basically, you want the Lurker Den lined up with your Hive so you can start up the upgrades as quickly as possible. The Lurker upgrade specifically. Regardless, Dark is able to keep up. Still maintaining that 4th, or that gold, 5th even. Colossus are amassing. And Nightmare is being active, but he's not really looking to commit or try to go all in or anything like that. Now, the advantage for Nightmare is that he's up against Lair Tech Lurkers. Lurkers are morphing in, but the Hive is not yet done, so these Lurkers are not ideal. Roach is already going to be going down. Better fight here for Nightmare. Shaves off a lot of roaches. Lurker's getting in position. Lings are amassing as well. We're getting ready for a surround. Where's that blink? We force back towards the gold. Lurkers are in position. And the gold base is going to fall. Not a bad pickup. The Dark, he expanded elsewhere. Further back. Colossus are coming in. And Dark, do we set up the surround? Okay, so far not. We're just keeping up with the army. We're holding the line. Black, as we see Nightmare reinforcing. Being hyper aggressive with this first 2 Colossus. Do we have any Vipers? The answer is no. No Vipers yet. So blink out of Nightmare. Takes out a Lurker. Rotating around. On 4 bases. Fleet beacons on the way. We're getting ready for Sky Toss. We're getting ready for the late game. Not a bad engage here out of Dark, but again, the Lurkers, they're not really taking part. Ooh, we've bleed out a lot of Hydras. Hydras going down. Lurker range still not quite done. Again, without it, you can see that Nightmare can kind of bully the army. Getting a lot of value here out of the Colossus. There we go, Lurker range finally kicking in. As we start to step forward, big overextension. Colossus goes down. Very clutch pick off there out of Dark. Behind this is Saturation's looking solid. It's on 80 workers. Building another wave of workers as well. Charge loss diving in. And 3 lurkers going to be going down. Nightmare does push into the base. And not enough in position. The base is under fire. Meanwhile, Dark coming in for a surround. Does force back the army. Still only 1 Colossus. Not reinforced. Not made anymore. Nightmare barely keeping up. Barely trading with the army. Mothership is on the way. No second Stargate. No Skytoss yet. The runback gets forced back. We're running out of Stalkers, running out of Colossus. Again, still down to 1. And Dark is holding. And now those upgrades are kicking in. Adaptive Talents on the way, +3. 6th base as well. And I would have loved to have seen additional Stargates already and start working towards carriers. Like, Nightmare has an economy. Like, he has a bank to work with. 2,000 gas. And we got the money, but we have the money for it, but no. Instead, we're going for a Templar Archives, working towards... There we go. Now we get the Stargates. But these do feel late. And as the aggression subsides, Dark goes for a big counterattack. The base is going to be going down. There's no saving this Nexus. Nightmare racing back home. The base goes down. 12 probes. We can keep pushing. Oh, there's the recall. Do you recall the army trying to catch out Dark? Yeah, Dark will bleed out all these lurkers. The Hydras will try to squeeze away. Try to squeeze out of there. At the same time, Dark going for a big counterattack. Remember, recall is on cooldown, at least the Mothership recall. And lurkers are pushing in. Not a bad position. Storm is not quite done. And pushing into these lurkers is going to be brutal. High Templar are going down. Oh, we pick off 2 High Templar. And where's the splash damage? Where's the Colossus? It's in the back line. The Mothership goes down, and we get caught out of position. Yeah, pushing these lurkers is just not going to happen. GG gets called, and Dark will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Again, Nightmare, he just, once he lost his Colossus, he never did decide to rebuild or reinvest into Colossus. Didn't have any splash damage. Storm wasn't done, so he had no Storms available for the final fight either. And Dark able to go for the kill as Nightmare was mid-transition. Again, no Colossus, no Storm, no carriers either. Like, we were in a really awkward place there for Nightmare. And it did feel like he was tunnel visioning a little bit too much. Like Nightmare, his economy was on point, right? He had a massive bank, he had plenty of bases, his economy was ideal, but his tech and his production was lacking there, and that's where Nightmare was vulnerable. Did fall apart a little bit towards the end. Did have a solid mid game. Like his mid game was good. Able to trade well against the initial lurkers and the initial Roach Hydra, but it was the next step there that was a little bit lacking from Nightmare, and Dark took advantage of it. GG. GG, well played. Dark does take a lead, and now we're getting into game number 2. Let's go. Getting into game 2, going to be getting into Ghost River. One of the smaller maps in the map pool, and I'm ready for the aggression. You know, here in game 1, we got to, you know, sink our teeth into a longer macro game. We're going to build up towards 5-6 bases from both sides. That's all well and good, but I'm here for something shorter. I'm here for the Chaos map, and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ghost River, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Talon Esports. It is Dark. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss, the Blue Protoss, representing Bleed Esports. It is Nightmare. Here we go. We go. Again, Ghost River known for its short rush distance by ground, a very congested map, very little room to breathe, very little room to really have any breathing room here on this map. Doesn't take long at all to go from one natural to the other. As a result, we've seen a lot of 3-base play from both sides. We've seen a lot of 3-base 8-gate all-ins from the side of Protoss. Likewise, 3-base Roach Ravager, you know, Queen Walks or German Taxis from the side of Zerg. So we'll see if we embrace the aggression or if we go for a longer macro game once again. Here we go. Este rowdy. You're so rowdy, Pat. Calm down. Calm down. Nightmare just going for the gate expand into Cybercore. Standard opener here out of our Protoss player. Nothing crazy early on. No 2-gate opener or a hidden tech. Proxy even. Nothing crazy to begin with. Likewise, Dark Force to take the unnatural natural as well, as we are steadily into Ghost River. And I'm curious as to what we embrace. Again, I'm so used to casting Hero on this map, and Hero is very fond of 3-base all-ins, especially if you set up a proxy location here in the center of the map. We have seen Nightmare embrace that from time to time. I don't know if Nightmare is willing to do that against Dark specifically. And we'll see. As for now, it's a Stargate. Again, based on the pylon location, it is going to be a Stargate opener. Should be for Oracles to zoom across the map as quickly as possible. Likewise, Dark sneaking out with his Lings does avoid the probe, and will be able to slip into the bases to get some scouting to get a read on what the Protoss is up to. We saw this last game get 1 probe kill as well, so there's potential for damage. There is potential as the pylon did scout the Lings. Unfortunate for Dark, he does have to pull back. Adepts zoning him away. Stargate is done, and it is going to be the Oracle opener. As a reminder, last game it was a Void Ray opener, which is why Nightmare was barely harassing with Oracles, because we didn't really have many Oracles to harass. This time we will. This time the Queen defense of Dark is going to be put to the test. It's something that he's known for. He has some of the best Queen defense out there in the world. We'll see if Nightmare can get some damage done. Now Lings are moving out. They threaten the 3rd. Oracle's being chronoed. And the Oracle does move out. We have the 2nd Oracle on the way. It looks to be a triple Oracle opener into a 3rd base. Everything looking as it should here, and that is a fast Roach Warren. Okay, 3-minute 50 Roach Warren timing. And here come the Lings! Oh my god. They go for the dive, they get a probe, and they will delay the expansion. 3rd base now going to be on the way. But yeah, you do not throw down a fast Roach Warren at this timing against a Stargate opener. Like, there's no reason to, right? There's no reason to have a Roach Warren this early on. So we'll see when we cut workers and how aggressive we want to be. Oracles, they move out across the map. And from lack of saturation so far at the third. There we go, Roaches are already in production. Wings are getting ready. And I was just going to be committing here. This feels very early on here for Dark. Oracle's rotating around. Yeah, the Queens, they're walking, Papi. They're waddling. The Queens, they've begun their march across the map. We're going all in. We're cutting workers at 38. We spoke about this. I mean, to be fair, I did mention 3 base all-ins, but this is a 2 base all-in. Like, there's no saturation here at the 3rd base whatsoever. This is a very early push from Dark. 1 Queen goes down. And here come the Roaches, here come the Ravagers, here come the Lings. We're flooding everything across the map. Dark trying to respond. I like the idea. This is a lair tech all-in. Sorry, this is a hatch tech all-in. There is no lair. So there's no detection, right? Like, there's no overseer to detect these DTs. But are they going to finish in time? That's the question. Are DTs going to be a factor here in this defense? They can be. Meanwhile, we do try to knock down that natural base. Dark Shrine, almost halfway done. We do pull back to the Queens. 1 Oracle goes down. And we're out of energy. We are out of energy. The Ling Ravager heads towards the natural. We ignore the 3rd base. Do you have a shield battery? Ravager's gonna be piling down. The Adepts, they gets around and they get shut down. The Adepts do fall. And now we can knock down the Cyber Core. Dark Shrine still on the way. A Cyber Core is gonna fall. We have the overcharge at least, but it's about to run out. More Oracles coming in. But the Oracles, they're falling one after the other, and Dark, he's breaking through. He busts on in. The Lings, they flood into the natural base. Stalkers is surrounded. The Dark Shrine is outdone, but doesn't matter. Is it too little too late? DTs are warping in, but probes are falling left and right. Lings, they flood into the mineral line. DTs, they have work to do. They're going ham. But it may just be too much. The natural base has fallen. And from here, we can bust into the main. We could even try to pile down the DTs themselves. Yeah, Lair is in production. Back at home, we're droning. Lings, they rotate around. They head towards the 3rd. We ignore the main base. Going for the 3rd instead. Yeah, the Oracles, they can't do much here. GG gets called. And Dark will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. A 2-base all-in by Dark. It was a hatch-based all-in as well, just cutting workers early on at 38 and just sending everything across the map. A very early all-in there out of Dark. It even caught me a bit off guard, but that's something you can afford, specifically on this map. We spoke about it earlier, but the rush distance by ground on Ghost River is very short, so these are the kind of all-ins that you can do on this map and not on many others. Even on Post Youth, which technically has a shorter rush distance, Post Youth is more defendable on 2 bases, so these kind of all-ins are ill-advised on Post Youth. Here on Ghost River, you embrace it, Pap. You embrace the all-in. GG. GG, well played. Dark does pop off, does bring down Nightmare. Nightmare, again, he was holding his own in Game 1. Like, Game 1 was more back and forth, and Nightmare had his own moments in Game 1. Game 2, unfortunately, Nightmare took a little bit too long to realize what was going on. I did appreciate the DT response, but again, it was just too late. It was just too late of a response just for how early the all-in was. By the time the DTs morphed in, everything was dead. Like, everything was already on fire. It was too late at that point. And with that, we're getting ready for our next series. We're getting ready for the grand finals. Getting ready for those grand finals. Of course, it is going to be Dark versus Classic. Classic took down Beyond, and Dark took down Nightmare. And now they face off in a best of 5. Let's go. Let us go. All does end here. As a reminder as well, if you want to support the KSL, if you want to support the Korean scene, exclamation mark KSL in the chat. You will get a link to the Patreon. We'll get a link to a way to support the tournament if you so wish. Otherwise, we're sailing into the grand finals and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Side Delta. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have its opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Talon Esports. It is Dark. Okay. Can settle on in. Again, almost the polar opposite. Ghost River is one of the most aggressive maps we can spawn into. Side Delta, one of the more macro maps. Again, the natural base is quite fortified here, or quite defendable with the ramp. Oh, hello. Speaking of defendable, hello, Mr. Drone. Where are we going? We're going for a proxy hatch. We're going for the proxy across the map. Let's go, Papi. Let's go. The probe is denying the base, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we're looking to throw down the base elsewhere. I say that cheeky movement here out of Dark. Okay, he does get his base on the natural at the natural location. Very nicely done. We'll expand on location. Drone does get across the map. If he was denied, Dark would have had the option to go for the proxy, but I think he still has the money for it. He does. He goes to both. He gets the natural location, and he gets the proxy across the map. The best of both worlds. Now, as a reminder, this is not all in. This is not all in. Do you see what I see? I see a lack of spawning pool. There is no spawning pool. There are no lings. There are no queens. No nothing. It is a double hatch opener here out of Dark. The goal here to force some inefficiency out of Classic. Boys have to be pulled. The boys are being pulled. We have the Zealot coming out. The expansion is delayed. It is a way to disrupt the opener and to get ahead economically. Eventually, the space will be cancelled. The hatchery will be cancelled. From here, Dark can dip into the main. He can go for a gas steal. That's the next step. Classic, hopefully, is going to be in position to deny that. Yeah. We're on hold position. And we do take the gas. So no steal from Dark. And now Dark has to defend against the aggression of Classic. So this is the kind of ebb and flow of a proxy hatch like this, is that Classic was forced to make a Zealot, and now he's getting into his Adept. And Dark has no link speed. Because Dark opened up Gasless, his link speed is quite delayed, which means we have a moment here where we can be hyper-aggressive. Zealot moves out, Adepts are moving out. It's going to be on Dark to minimize losses against the initial gateway units of Classic. Here we go. Zealot does get into the mineral line, going for the drones. Oh, so far so good. We don't lose anything yet. Adept has arrived. We commit to the shade. Ling's trying to go for the surround. Boys being pulled as well. And it looks like we get 1 drone kill so far. 2 drone kills. 3 drone kills. Oof. This is already worth it. Okay, this is the ideal. We get 3 worker kills here at the 3rd. Meanwhile, the drone is still alive. We're going to get a 4th drone kill. And Dark is re-droning, is now working on link speed, taking a 3rd base, but that was some very nice counter damage here out of Classic. Does help make up for his delayed expansion. Oh, and that is a Twilight Council. Okay, you have my attention. I'm feeling Glaive Adepts. We have pulled 1 out of gas. We have kept 1 in, so I'm curious how this all comes together. This could technically still be DTs. Could be a Dark Shrine follow-up. Additional gateways on the way. It could even be a little bit more committed here. I'm curious how this all, again, comes together. We do pull back in. Would you have a 4-gate setup? Which means this could be both. It could be Glaives plus DTs. We go, Glaives are on the way. But we have a lot of gas to work with. And we'll see if Dark can keep up. Back at home, Dark is droning. Dark is getting safety Spore Crawlers at his 3rd base. And Dark has not been able to scout the main. He's in the dark. Dark pulling back, going, ooh, for a lair first. We're not going for a safety Roach Warren, which is concerning, which means we only have Lings and Queens to defend. Here comes the Prism. Prism is moving out. Oh, no Roach Warren yet. We can still throw it down at around the 5-minute timing, but that may be a little bit too late. We'll see. We could also respond with the Bailey Nest, but there we go. Roach Warren's now on the way. Again, 5-minute mark. This is like kind of a more standard Roach Warren timing. Glaives have been spotted. And there's going to be a tight defense here for Dark. Lings are pushing forward. More Lings are on the way. We did drone somewhat. Can we keep up with the Adepts? And I was curious what was going to be done with all this gas. We're going for a 2-base all-in. There's no third. We're getting into Immortals. We're building up towards Immortal production. Adepts have arrived. Going for the third. Queen under fire. We do transfuse. Ooh, we do keep the queens alive. At the same time, Lings, they're in position, but Glaive Adepts, they have their way with these Lings. Yeah, on their own Lings, they just melt. Adepts, they break on through another big warping into the main. No economic damage yet, but I spoke too soon because now drones are finally going down. Just some Roach production coming into play. Boys being pulled away as well. Shading back into the main. Ling Roach in position. Only 2 drone kills. So far, impressive defense here out of Dark. Despite how late the Roach Warren was, I mean, we did shave off a lot of Lings. A lot of Lings did go down. Dark resaturating his bases. On the one hand, Dark didn't lose a lot of drones, but also Dark didn't have a lot of drones as we're in position. The Prism! The Prism is going to go down. Massive pickup here from Dark. The Prism does fall. Adepts, they get 2 more drone kills in the main. They shade into the natural. Lings are in position. Oh my god, Dark, he shuts them down. And Dark holds. Dark, he does hold on. 10 more drones in production. The lair is done. Roach speed, not quite being resourced yet. But Dark, he is just resaturating. He is stabilizing. But Classic is getting ready for the next step. So, Classic, his third base is late. His third base is delayed, but the reason for this is because of all these Immortals. We have 2, now 3 Immortals popping out. Sentries, we're ready here for a Roach counterattack. We can see Dark is not counterattacking. Spine Crawlers are on the way. The Overlord did confirm the Immortals. Dark, he has spotted the main army. He knows he cannot push into this. And Dark, he's anticipating a move out. Is getting ready for a follow-up Immortal push. These Spine Crawlers are really early, so this is a big investment for Dark. We'll see if it pays off. And now Dark is droning. Overseer moving out. The Changeling did spot the main army as well. Yeah, Dark is just droning as hard as he can. Saturating 3 bases, taking his gases. It's a risky move here to drone when we're getting ready for this kind of push. But that's where the Spine Coolers come into play. And here comes the move out. 2 move out, Overseer into the main. We'll get eyes on all the gateways. Gateways are finishing up, getting up to 6 gates, I believe. Sorry, getting to 8 gateways even. Okay, 3 base, 8 gate all in at a Classic. Force fields are forced out. Nice bait here from Dark. Okay, we have to be very careful with how and when we force field. It is a finite resource for a Classic. Pushing on in. Jesus, that is 4 Immortals. That's quite an army. 4 Immortals, 11 Sentries. That's, I did mention before, I was like, oh, you know, we bait out a couple of force fields. Nicely done, but there's so many force fields available. Adepts, they do threaten shades. More Spine Crawlers on the way. Once again, Dark gonna have to back off. Ravager gets picked up. Oh my, the force fields once again. They catch out 2 Ravagers, 3 Ravagers even. The force fields, they don't stop. They just don't stop coming. Roach is being pinned back, and we're just slicing up the army. Yeah, Classic is picking this apart. These 4 Immortals are doing so much in the back line. They shut down the Roaches, the Queens, and the Ravagers. And most of the Spine Crawlers, they don't come into play. And Classic is breaking through, getting on top of the army. Shades on top of the Ravagers as well. And GG gets called. We snowball out of control. Classic takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Again, on the one hand, I was feeling a little bit better about all those Spine Crawlers as Dark was getting ready for the push, but at the same time, the Spine Crawlers were split up in between all the bases. They weren't a part of the main fight. Even if they were, the force fields were insane there from Classic. And again, he just has his way with Dark's army. GG. Classic takes a lead. Does take a lead. Now we're getting ready for game number 2. In a very chaotic game, you know, we had initially Dark going for the proxy hatch. Meanwhile, Classic went into his Glaive Adepts, didn't kill many drones. He got 4 drone kills, and we saw Dark drone up quite heavily in the aftermath of that. Alas, unfortunately, just wasn't able to keep up with the Mass Immortal Sentry, like they're almost a Soul Train out of Classic in that first game. But now we're settling into game 2. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkyone, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Twisted Minds. Leading the series 1-0, it is Classic. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. Oh my god. We have his opponent. We have the Blue Zerg player representing Talon Esports. It is Dark. Down in this series, looking to bounce back, going for a 15-15 opener. Very safe opener here out of Dark. We'll be able to expand on location. So Classic is going for his gate into his scout, moving out across the map. He is moving out across the map. And we do see Classic immediately checking the gold base, and it's very common for Dark to take the gold. Hero, Classic, Nightmare, they're all very familiar with Dark's tendencies, and Dark will not take it this time. Is going for a standard hatch first, or 15-15 I should say, as opposed to last game with the proxy. Here we are settling in. Lawless Mining, yeah, kind of that as well. If you recall, Dark, he bled out a lot of lings, so he had to replace a lot of lings. Like, basically, a lot of larva was spent defending against the initial Glaive Adepts and had to replace all those lings as well. Did keep the drone count lower for longer for Dark. That was another big moment for Classic with the initial Adepts. And from here, we are settling in. And does Classic once again embrace the Twilight Council to go for a Stargate? We'll keep an eye on the tech choice of Classic. So now we're just calming things down and settling into our game. Nothing yet on the way. Side of core is now done. Going for the Adept first. And we have our tech of choice. It's going to be the Stargate. Okay, so this time, Classic won't be hyper aggressive. We're not going for a Glaive Adept opener or DTs or anything like that. Should be Stargate into Oracle, which means Dark should have a much more comfortable time in the early game. I mean, we talk about Alkyone all the time. This map is known for its more macro play. We saw that against Nightmare, where Dark vs. Nightmare led into like a 6-base setup. Was a much longer game. This map does kind of lend to that. Ooh, as Classic does force the linear third. Okay, very nicely done. This does mean that the 4th base is going to be much more exposed. What I'm referring to, usually you would expand here at the 3rd base location, mine through the minerals, and take the 4th base on the right-hand side, which is quite defendable, a little bit more awkward to push into, especially early on. But now Dark is going to be a little bit more exposed. So we'll see if we do end up making use of that. After threatening a shade. Initially, we still have just our Oracle opener. And this should be leading into a triple Oracle into a 3rd. This could lead into a faster Twilight Council before the 3rd base. We could work towards something more aggressive. That is an option. As the Adept goes down, nice defense here at the Dark. Doesn't lose a drone. Lord is being hunted down. 3rd base is on the way. Okay, no tech before the 3rd. Yeah, we're just macroing, Pat. We're just macroing. Calming down. I say that. It wasn't before the 3rd base, but that is a much faster Twilight Council. And I don't see a forge. Uh-oh. Yeah, additional gateways are on the way. Ooh, 2 more gates. Do you see what I see? I see the setup for some Glaive Adepts. No forge inside for Classic. This could be one of 2 things. It could be for fast Glaives, or it could be for a fast Blink for a 3-base all-in. Both are viable. But we saw how Classic did embrace the Glaive Adepts earlier, and yep, there it is, Glaive Adepts once again. So the point of this build is if the Zerg player skips the Roach Warren, and I don't see a Roach Warren. But if the Zerg player delays the Roach Warren and skips it and goes into Ling Hydra tech, then Dark is going to be in trouble. Right now, Dark should be droning, right? There's no reason not to drone, where we see our Protoss player expanding, taking a third base, macroing up. So because of that, if Dark doesn't play things out safely, if he doesn't throw down a Roach Warren soon, then these adepts are going to get out of hand. And they could just end the game. I'm a little bit concerned. We've hit the 5-minute mark. Still no Roach Warren. +1 melee's on the way. We're taking extra gases. Ooh, this could be Ling Hydra. As we might end up working towards a lair. And if that's the case, we're in trouble, Pappy. Oracle's rotating around. Adepts will be backing up back at home. Yeah, we're going for the lair. We're going for the lair. We're at 5-minute 30 here. We're going Ling Hydra. At least it looks to be the case. So we're going to only have Lings and Queens to defend. 5 drones going down. Pretty nice run by here from these Oracles, or flyby. 5 worker kills, and here come the Adepts. And what do we have to defend? Lings are moving out towards the left-hand side. Even if these Lings were back at home, Dark would still be in some trouble. As the Roach Warren now gets thrown down, but such a late Roach Warren for Dark. We don't commit. We're going for the third. Lings, they race back home, but Lings, they melt against the Adepts. You can see even with the surround, the Lings, they all get cleaned up. The Lings are shut down, and we're making our way into the mineral line. We already had 6 drone kills. And we're going for the rest. Even just turning around, killing a Queen. Yeah, we go for the Queen. Drones are being focused down one after the other. And Dark, he was caught with his pants down. Again, that's the purpose of this build, is to catch the Zerg player droning, is to catch the macroing, is to blindside them. And I mean, it's already done a lot, and we're going to get even more. We're going to get even more done. We shade into the main. GG, GG, and Classic will take a 2-0 lead. GG, well played. We have seen time and time again. We've seen players like Dark, players like Raynor as well. Classic's beaten Raynor the same way, actually, like 2 weeks ago. Basically, if you just make assumptions here, if you just assume they're going for an Oracle opener, if you don't go for a safety Roach Warren, then you are vulnerable to builds like this, to those Glaive Adepts. You've seen many a top tier Zerg player fall to this, whether you're going Ling Hydra, whether you're going Ling Bane, or whether you're just delaying your Roach Warren. You do take a risk here, and alas, Classic does take advantage of Dark. GG, Classic 1 game away from taking the series. Let's go. Let us go. Dark hates drones. Because they all die. Feels smudge, papi. I mean, you said Dark was, he was just droning. He was just being a little bit too greedy. He was cutting too many corners and was punished for it. And now we're getting into game 3 and spawning in the top right hand corner of a Ghost River, leading the series 2-0. One more game is all he needs to claim the series and to become this week's champion. We have for Twisted Minds, Classic. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg representing Talon Esports. It is Dark. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, full walled. I mean, even a full wall wouldn't help too much. I mean, we've seen full walls knocked down by Glaive Adepts before. I mean, it can buy you some time. True. It can buy some time, definitely, but yeah. I don't know. I don't see, even with a full wall, I don't see Dark minimizing too many losses there. Again, it can just be a really brutal position to be in. If you recall, Dark, he threw down the Roach Warren as the Adepts had hit, so it was just, yeah, just an extended period of time where we only have Lings and Queens to defend. It was a brutal moment for Dark. But now we're settling into Ghost River. Now, we spoke about this previously, and we even saw this on in the Nightmare series in the semifinals. Ghost River, it's known for its aggression, which means Dark instead could be the aggressor this time. Honestly, this series, it's been Classic in the driver's seat. Every game so far, I mean, yeah, in game 1 and in game 2, it's been Classic kind of dictating the pace of the game. I guess Dark did go for a proxy hatch in game 1, but it was Classic that responded with Glaive Adepts into an Immortal Soul Train push on 3 bases. Likewise in game 2 with the likewise hidden Glaive Adepts. So this could be an opportunity for Dark to try to take control of the game and take control of the series. But it's also a risky move just because he's up against the wall and he's down currently. One more win, Classic will take one more loss, and Dark is out. So do we take the risk? Do we take the chance? Do we do something crazy? I'm ready for it. GSL, KSL. The Korean StarCraft League. Tis a little bit different. As Dark is making an extra wave of Lings. This still droning up. Behind this, Gate expanded to Cybercore. We're going for a Stargate opener from the side of Classic. Once again, it's been a Stargate opener for the past 2 games. And as we saw in the previous game, just because it's a Stargate doesn't mean there's no Glaive Adepts. We can still get back into it. Personally, I wouldn't be opposed to a fast Twilight Council into Blink. It's a very safe opener, and it does allow you to defend against all Lins quite well. If Classic did want to play safe. For now, we're calming things down. We're droning up. It is going to be an Oracle opener. We're going to be opening up Oracle. More Lings are on the way. Quite a number of Lings here. Dark's just trying to keep up with those Adepts and potentially even counterattack afterwards. After Adepts, they do shade in. Link speed kicks in and Dark goes for the surround. The Adepts, they do barely slip away getting extra hits in, but they're going to be cleaned up. Yeah, the Adepts are shut down. And now we can go for the counterattack. We're moving out across the map. The goal here is to delay the third base for as long as possible. Dark has arrived. The probe gets sent out, and the third is going to be thrown down just in time. We have the Oracle in position. Classic holds. Classic gets away with the third base. Lings, unfortunately, they don't quite get the damage that we're hoping for. Dark is forced back. Rotating back around. Once again, threatening the third. But Oracle's there lying in wait. Just really careful play out of Classic. Despite opening up Oracle, Classic hasn't gone across the map with them. Has stayed back at home first, and now he moves out. Now Classic does move out. Oracle's in position back at home. Oh, sorry, Adept's in position back at home, what I meant to say. We got some decent positioning here for Dark, as he's going to be able to shut both of them down. Yeah, the Adepts do fall, and the Oracles, they race back home. Do you have that Twilight Council follow-up? Gateway as well. Are we going to throw down another gateway? We are. Okay, this looks like Glaives again. just as a heads up. This again, once again, this could be one of two things. This could be Glaive Adepts again for a second game in a row, or technically a third game in a row, or this could be fast Blink into a more defensive style. That's a lot of gateways on the way, Papi. Okay, Forge. I'm leaning towards Blink. Yeah, Blink is on the way. So we spoke about this really fast Blink here at a Classic. This is a very defensive build. Just because Blink is prioritized, it means that we're ready in case it is a 3-base all-in. So the way this lines up, as the Oracles get 7 drone kills across the map, that is quite a bit here. At least one Oracle goes down. But the way this works, if Dark were to go for something like a German taxi, right, like a 3-base all-in, then Blink would be done in time. Blink will be done in time, and Classic will have Blink Stalkers to defend, which is ideal against that kind of aggression. We can see Dark is expanding though. He's taking it forward. So Dark is going for a longer macro game. This means that this setup is better for Dark. The reason for this is Forge is late. Like, +1 is delayed here for Classic in favor of the faster Blink, and Dark is setting up for a longer macro game. Working on his own upgrades, droning up. Oracle's moving out. Dark will catch them. Oh my god. Almost. Meanwhile, Classic building up towards Templar Archives as well. Archon Production Storm. Dark throwing down the infestation, but we are taking up quite heavily here. Okay. Bold move by Dark. Is a bold move, but he does read it correctly. He confirms there are additional gases here at the third, so it's not a 3-base all-in. Getting ready to take a fourth, and Dark is rushing into... Oh, wait. What? Ooh, okay. We're going for an all-in. I'm not sure about this. Did we scout the tech? We did not. But we canceled the infestation, but we canceled the hydrogen. We're going for Overlord speed. We're going for the German taxi, a much later German taxi on 4 bases. I thought we were getting ready to rush into more tech, but no, we're just sending it. Okay. Bold move. I mean, sure, Classic is investing in another base and is getting a 4th. We do have Blink, though, and Storm is going to finish up in a couple of seconds. See here, Storm will complete. We'll see how this all comes together. I'm tentative. I'm like, because it is hitting late. It is hitting a little bit later here, but it's designed to catch Classic off guard. And can this work out? Dark is completely all in. 69 workers, nice. On 3 bases, the 4th really just for Larva more than anything. Here we go. We are diving forward. We're going for the High Templar. We get 1. Storms do connect. Oh, big storms here on the roaches. Oh my god, they get annihilated. The storms are insane. The roaches, they melt. Boys are being pulled. The Lings are flooding in, but the Lings, they might just be a little bit too late. There's no shield battery though. There's no overcharge. No shield battery at the 3rd. But we're running out of Lings. And again, the roach army just crumbled earlier. We're getting on top of the Ravagers. More roaches are trickling in. Probes did go down. The Queens are holding the line. Files connect. Files are connecting, but Dark, he's running out of steam. He's running out of roaches. And again, soon to be running out of Ravagers as well. Like, the storms earlier were insane. And we're going to clean this up. We're going to shut down the Ravagers and the Queens. Classic is holding. Immortals, they come in to reinforce. A lot of the Stalkers are quite low, but Classic, he blinks back. Now the Overlords are exposed. Even without shield batteries, even without the overcharge. Looks like Classic bleeds out the Immortal. Coming down to just purely blink Stalkers. Does blink away. And does force this back. And behind this, Classic, he's on 4 bases. He's making 2 Immortals at a time. He's got double Roman production. And all Classic has to do from here is just chill. Is just back off, build up towards 4, maybe 6 Immortals, have a handful of High Templar for Storms. And Dark is not droning. Dark made 1 drone. Went from 69 to now 70 drones. Let's go. Made 1 worker. And we're doubling down once again on roaches. We have +2 range on the way. Once we cancel the Hydroden and the Infestation Whip, we have not rebuilt them. We're just doubling down on pure roach. And the scary thing here is that the Immortal count's getting higher and higher. Now, if we can catch a transferring Immortal, like that's going to be ideal. We can catch an Immortal. That'll be amazing. Dipping in between the bases, but again, the soup does lie. Like, sure, Darky's up in supply, but it's inflated supply with the roaches. They don't scale well into a longer game. You can be double the army supply with roaches, and against Mass Immortal, it doesn't matter. Now, what we can do, though, is pull Classic apart, right? Like, if we can distract Classic and hit the 4th, if we can somehow take down the 4th base or get into a mineral line, then sure, right? Like, that's a different story. If we can try to cripple the economy here, then there is potential with this army. So Classic is building up. Additional shield batteries, still getting into Mass Immortal. We keep the Immortals pinned back at home and we move out with the Stalkers. Classic being very careful. Yo, we got another Dropper Lord on the way. Let's go. Dark preparing for what looks to be a roach drop into the natural. He's heading on over. Very little to defend here at the natural base as well. Again, I'm liking the idea of going for a split push. Drop towards the natural, main army towards the south. Does threaten the 4th. Classic keeping up. And the Vials, ooh, they do trigger some of the shields. Overcharge is popped. Storm's sending away the army. Drop does come in, but Classic, he had to warp in. Does warp in time, will defend. At the same time, Roaches, they try to catch an Immortal. Alas, we have shield batteries in position. The Immortal survives. Dark going for a tri-pronged attack, and alas, he doesn't gain ground. Classic defense is natural, his 3rd and his 4th. Yeah, the wall side defense ideal here for Classic. Charge about to kick in. Once it does, then Classic can move out. Like, once we get charge lots into play, Classic can start pushing. Until then, he's playing, again, that defensive role. You can see he's closing that gap in supply. Building up a more formidable army, and unfortunately, there's no Lurker Tech. We do have an infestation for Hive, sure. But there's no Lurker Tech, there's no Vipers. We just weren't set up for that. Weren't set up with the... We do start the Cybercore, not bad. Cybercore goes down. Likewise, Dark going in for the third. Gets a shield battery. Oof. High Templar goes down. Classic does respond in time, even expanding here towards the right-hand side, towards the south. And we're forcing a reaction out of Dark. Dark attempts to double expand. Force back. Hydrogen now being rebuilt. Dark, he now recognizes that he's forced into a longer game. But we need time, and we're diving on top of the Ravagers. Yeah, now that charges, I mean, there aren't even any chargelets with this. Chargelets are harassing across the map. But we're pushing out. Okay, we have 2 storms left. Soon to be 3. But 2 storms in the chamber. Pushing on forward. How many immortals? That's 9 immortals! Oh my god. Against Roach Ravager. Immortals. They pop off, man. We're getting ready for the surroundo. Yeah, we come in from behind. We get on top of the immortals. Storms are going to be going off. That was the final storm for Classic. Going to be able to reinforce. The piles will connect, though. Nice connections here from Dark. Maybe the best fight he could have hoped for, but we have reinforcing High Templar. We still have storms. They're still available. Classic gets the center base up and running. Or soon to be up and running. Hive will finish, and with this Hive, we can now get right into Viper production. There we go. Lurker Gen's on the way. And Dark needs to buy time. He needs to desperately buy time here for Lurkers. Oof. Storm connects. And even then, it's not going to be easy. Not against this many Immortals. Drop towards the main. Fleet Beacon's on the way. Oh my god. Classic is ready, fam. Fleet Beacon, second Stargate. We're getting ready for Skytoss. Classic pushing forward. Oh my god. Miles not quite connecting. Classic gaining ground, pushing up the ramp. Does bleed out a handful of these Stalkers, but alas, he's still breaking through. And it's just a Roach Hydra running out of Ravagers. The storms are insane. GG gets called as Classic. He breaks through, and Classic will take the series 3-0. GG. Very impressive here by Classic. A very chaotic series. You know, we had initial Proxied, we had Glaive Adepts, both in Game 1 and Game 2. And it was a wild decision here in Game 3. If you remember, Dark, he was getting a 4th base. Dark, he threw down an Infestation Bit, threw down a Hydrogen. It looked like he was getting ready to go into Hive Tech, into Lurker Tech. And I was ready for it. I was excited for it. And he didn't get scouted, but something did kind of like trigger a response, and Dark, he made the decision to cancel the Hydrogen, he canceled the Infestation Bit, he started up Overlord Speed, and he went for the all-in. He decided to go for the all-in instead. Unfortunately, again, Classic was set up for that. He had Blink, +1 was finishing up, he had Storm ready for it, he had Immortals amassing as well. We saw that Classic had a pretty solid defensive setup, and potentially the push could have dealt a little bit more, but like the storms were brutal. If you remember, we had 3 storms on top of the Roaches, and the Roach army melted almost immediately. Like those are some of the juiciest storms that we've seen in quite some time. I mean, since this morning, really, because this morning we saw some crazy storms on Lings earlier. Sorry, on Honmono is what I was referring to. The storms on Honmono, that was something different. But GG, well played. A very solid defense here out of Classic. And Classic will take the series. Dark will bow out. But a shout out to Dark, shout out to Classic, shout out to Nightmare and Bjorn, as they made it to the top 4. They were our top 4 players. They all got paid out. They all did earn their keep here tonight. Classic did take the win, but Classic is one of the best Protoss players in Korea and in the world. No shame in going down to him. And again, it was still a very chaotic series as well. I'm sure Dark is going to be looking to get his revenge next time, in the next KSL. In the next KSL. Usually it's Hero that knocks Dark down, but this time it was Classic, which we don't often see. Like, often it's the hierarchy goes like Classic, then Dark, then Hero. But yeah, Classic able to look strong this week. Very strong this week. Not just against Dark, but also against Beyond, if you recall. So, GG, well played. Very well played here by Classic, and it's really important as well for these players to peak at the moment. What I'm referring to is the Esports World Cup. We alluded to it earlier, but the Esports World Cup, the qualifiers are next week. Or are they this weekend? No, next weekend. Next weekend are the Esports World Cup qualifiers, and we're going to be covering them. There's going to be qualifiers for all the regions, including Korea, I believe. So plenty of qualifiers on the horizon. And a lot of these players like Dark and Classic and Maru and all these players are going to be competing in the coming month in the World Championship. You know, a lot of people do forget, but IM Katowice this year was not the World Championship. The EPT was extended. IM just became another kind of stopping point. It led into DreamHack Spring, DreamHack Dallas, ESL Master Spring. So the season was kind of extended by a good amount of months. And it's all leading into the World Finals for the Esports World Cup. At the Esports World Cup. It's coming, Pap. It's coming. With that, GG. GG, well played. Oh, we got some info about the German tax. Maybe the baby started crying. He needs to finish fast. True, true. Dark, he's a papi now. He's a papi. That's another big thing. We have seen a little bit less of Dark as of late. You know, just because he's of course a papi. He's a father nowadays. He's a dad. But at the same time, he does of course still find time to compete, to practice, to improve of course as well. And likewise, I'm sure he's also going to be refining himself, getting ready for the upcoming major event. Upcoming World Finals. And with that, we're done. With that, we do wrap things up. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Hope you all had a great time. Hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. Again, if you want to support the KSL, !KSL in the chat. You can get a link to the Patreon. As via the Patreon, you can get replay packs, you can get permissions in the Discord, you can get, I believe, casting rights as well to cast things live, if you so choose, and get into lobbies live at the time as well. So there are some benefits available to you over on the Patreon. Otherwise, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the support. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord, ! Socials in the chat. You can support us and follow us where you so please. And our next broadcast is going to be tomorrow. We're going to be live in... how much time? We're going to be live in just under 24 hours. We're going to be live in 23 hours time with the Kung Fu Cup, with some KFC action. KFC. So if you want some KFC, we got you covered tomorrow with the Kung Fu Cup. If you're curious, what is the Kung Fu Cup? It is a seasonal weekly tournament. Every season it does come by. It is a weekly tournament partnered with WTL, or organized by World Team League, and they've got quite a hefty prize pool. Because of that, the Koreans, the Europeans, they all come together. It's a pretty decent time for most regions. Not the best time for the Americas or for Latin America, so we don't often get many Americans or Latin Americans playing. Only the DJs, like the Americans, that if they stay up until like 6 a.m. in the morning, they're the ones that play. So sometimes Trigger, sometimes like Trigger, sometimes like an Estrella or like a Vindicta. It's very rare, but every now and then we get like an NA sign up, which we appreciate. Otherwise, mainly European and Korean focused. So yeah, enjoy. It's gonna be tomorrow on this channel in 23 hours time. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. We'll see you guys tomorrow for some more StarCraft. Otherwise, see you when we see you. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego.